I think turkey bacon is fine. That's what we on the occasion. We don't eat bacon, but that's what we eat.
I'm guessing it's a standing order from your cardiologist that you shouldn't eat bacon, though, Susan.
Well, no, it was my oncologist, and he believes the news. The guy is like, don't eat lettuce. Don't eat it.
Yeah, Nancy says no jalapenos. So to be clear, my understanding is it's the raw jalapenos. So if you like dicing those up and putting them in your salads that you're not supposed to eat or whatever. But if you get the cooked ones or the ones that have been stored in vinegar, those should be fine.
Yeah.
So and then this little thing, Casey, Ashley Hinson.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit? We're going to circle back on her later, but I think of her as a pork lady now. Pork lady.
Yeah, think of her as the pork lady because she's cozied up to those pork lobbies, and they're giving her tons of money to invest in her campaign. Obviously, this is like the Republican way. They love their corporations, and consequently, in exchange, she's trying to loosen the rules on the regulations, which she is wrapping and reframing as this is for the farmers. Like I'm doing this for the farmers, right? But really what it is they've given her money because they want those regulations loosened because they will make more money. So this is, again, just about corporate PACs rubbing the backs of Republicans. And so we'll talk more about that when we talk about her, the Iowa Senate race, because she's running against Josh Turek. But I was just like, well, of course. I mean, and now look what's happening. Here we are already. And they want to loosen more of they want regulations to be even less. If it were up to Republicans, they just wouldn't regulate anything. And again, I stress every single week, that's the job of government, is to keep you safe. That's literally their only job. And they don't want to do it.
Right. Well, we have doctors, infectious disease doctors, that know this stuff. Where are they?
I mean, we have a new CDC director, I guess, coming up.
I mean, those people will give you the creeps when you talk to them about bacteria and stuff.
So wait a minute. Let's kind of tie this together.
But just real quick, she's running for Senate, by the way. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and she's leading Josh Turek in the last poll that I saw by about 3 points, although it was a margin of error of 3 points. So make of that what you will. So we can't eat bacon, and this lady is taking money from the pork lobby. Okay.
Yeah, and she's running for Senate. And everybody, we are going to be talking more about Senate later in the show. And Adam mentioned Josh Turek, and he is one of our featured senators that we're going to be talking about. But anyway, this next clip needs no introduction. We're just going to get right in.
How to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to people.
Your job is to
Am I
tell the
allowed
truth
to talk?
to the American
Yes,
public.
yes. And my job
And
is
to
to
be
get
shut
as
up.
much information as I can.
And to maintain
what we were doing,
a posture
what we were
of
doing,
fierce skepticism
what we
toward
were
government
doing
authority.
in COVID and still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
Who was lying to
the
you?
National Academy of Sciences, which you just cited in November, said
my
we
shoulder.
support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. This is the National Academy of Sciences that you just talked about.
Look at the National Academy of Science most recent report.
Okay.
And you'll see.
I want to ask.
I mean, where's that little?
What?
I mean, what do y'all think of that? Because I think that was crazy. I mean, that was.
I'm not kidding. I didn't edit all of them because I finally just like had to move on with my life. I made 7 videos out of that interview and I literally did the work that CNN would not. And I responded every single time because like some of this is just absolutely and utterly ridiculous that this man just gets to platform his lies. And like, to her credit, there were a couple times where she pushed some things here and there. And so people saw those sound bites and went, well, that's great. Like when she was like, well, you're not a scientist either. Right. That was like compelling. But for the most part, it was very underwhelming in terms of her performance and her response to him. He continued his villainy and his lies as per usual. And he kept talking over her and saying things that were clearly not true, especially the part where he's like, oh, the ICUs, they were open during COVID. Like, and I was like, sir, there were morgue trucks.
Yeah.
Like there were bodies in the streets. Like I was there. They full Italian towns, like gone. Like, right. Remember that? Like when it was before it hit us and we were watching it happen. And I just, the gaslighting, I do not appreciate. I mean, they're villains, sure, they lie, sure, but now they're over here telling me that I didn't live through one of the hardest times. Like as a parent to a newborn child, you can fuck right off. Like that was a difficult time for me with a tiny baby and watching people just die like everywhere, right? Like, and I'm like trying to keep my little tiny family alive, and then these people are like, oh, it wasn't like that at all. And in fact, when it was like that, it was Anthony Fauci's fault, even though Donald Trump was president. Who was president? Donald Trump. Who was in control of this country as an executive? Donald Trump. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that before they'll start another set of lies. But anyway, that's what I didn't hear enough of was, hey, guess who really was in control? Not Dr. Anthony Fauci, because he's not a governor.
What I take from that is that you cannot have live interviews with any of these Trump administration officials and be a responsible journalist.
Yep.
There's no possible way to do it because you can't fact check the stream of consciousness lies in real time. So the only way that you if either don't have them on at all or you tape it ahead of time, you let them say their crazy stuff, and then you immediately do 2 or 3 minutes explaining, and here's why that's wrong. That is the only way that you can responsibly have any of these people on any news program.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit of a contrarian. I agree with what you're saying, Chris, but I just think it's crazy work that you're going to drag out all the COVID propaganda. And like basically I would say a lot of us had family members that got sick, maybe even passed away, friends, that kind of thing. We got sick. We kind of have PTSD over that. And we kind of, I don't want to say got over it, but we're kind of like on with our normal life. It's been a few years. They're dragging all that stuff back now. Like we unelected Trump, like because of COVID, and they're bringing all that back right now going into midterms on what a fail, like Trump failed us. Like he was awful with COVID. And they're dragging Anthony Fauci and all that. I'm just like, go ahead. See what happens. This is not good memories for people.
I don't think most people got over it. I think most people repressed it, and I think that's what you saw in reaction to. And the
PTSD is coming back. Like you're just like, what the fuck? Like why are they?
In reaction to the Fauci hearing and this interview, you saw on social media an eruption of all of those bad memories that had been repressed coming back.
But we all went through it, and there's one thing. I don't understand why they're going after Fauci. He was not,
because he's the boogeyman. Yeah. They want to blame someone, but these are the same crazy people that were crazy during COVID. That were like, you're making me wear masks, and you're trying to kill us with your vaccine. Let's take it's crazy.
But he was not the director of NIH at the time.
But everybody looked to him.
Collins.
Everybody looked to him, I think, because he had lived through the AIDS epidemic and he had been, consulting Reagan at the time and doing all that. So at the time, all the MAGA people used him back then, and they were like, oh, he's meeting with Pfizer, and he's the one, like they were selling all this crazy underground far right lies, these conspiratorial lies. And this is just a holdover from that. This is just, they're just continuing that narrative that those people have, by the way, never stopped talking about. Like if you go into chat sections of these people, like on Truth Social or somewhere else where you see these far right people, they're all still spilling, like in some of the Reddit stuff, like they're still they're still sharing this on a regular basis. They won't stop talking about it.
I don't understand it because Francis Collins was Fauci's boss. He was elected. He was there under Bush, under Obama, under Trump, the first time and the second time. Why aren't they? They didn't go after him.
No,
He doesn't deserve to be gone after for sure.
They
But
keep
why
bringing
did
up. They
just-
keep bringing out what's his face, Fauci. They kept bringing Dr. Fauci out behind the cameras. I think.
Just Fauci.
Teresa in the comments is right. It has nothing to do with anything other than Rand Paul's ego.
Yeah.
Fauci embarrassed Rand Paul by saying,
what it is?
you don't know what you're talking about in a Senate hearing.
Okay.
And he's never gotten over it.
Well,
That's all of this is
still
about.
talking about putting him
my
in jail,
God.
like prosecuting him. It makes no sense. I like Nancy's comment where she says it's a distraction from the war. So speaking of that, did you guys see this earlier? I guess it was earlier this week.
At least that's how the American president is framing
Moving
it.
right along.
The Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step towards lasting peace and security.
After weeks of negotiations in Egypt, Hamas reportedly says it's made a deal on weapons, saying an agreement has also been reached on the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. US President Donald Trump says Israel will withdraw from the Strip as disarmament is completed, but what that means is still up in the air. If successful, the deal will form the second phase of a ceasefire which began in October. Since then, Israeli attacks have still killed more than 1,200 Palestinians, including at least 6 on Thursday.
The Israeli army called us and told us we have 5 minutes to evacuate, but in reality, as soon as we left the area, the building collapsed.
A Hamas official told the AFP news agency that a committee backed by the United Nations and Trump's so-called Board of Peace will catalogue and store the weapons. The Board of Peace says this will begin with Hamas police force guns, followed by the decommissioning of heavy weapons in tunnels, which could take up to 350 days. Earlier this month, Hamas announced it had dissolved its government in Gaza and was preparing to transfer power to the committee. Israel has thus far blocked committee members from entering the Strip and has said it must be fully demilitarized before any Israeli withdrawal.
So I have a question. Did you all know about this?
No.
Yeah.
Well, how old is this report?
Like a couple days. It happened. I believe it happened over the weekend. And I reported it within a couple hours of it breaking. I added those captions at the bottom because I was reading about it. And I listened to this video just to make it clear for folks. Israel is not agreeing to this. Like, I don't know. Trump posted about it. Like, this is not a real thing. And that's why I'm showing y'all, because this is not.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I was wondering if I missed something, because what I saw was the Trump social media post and then some reporting on it. And then immediately Israel and Hamas saying, yeah, this is not true.
So the other thing is when we get this kind of reporting, I go to international news sources just to hear. Usually it's a less biased take. Okay. They're not like giving us propaganda, trying to prop up Trump. They were just kind of giving us the blow-by-blow facts. This was factual, that there was an agreement. And then they have quotes from the leader of Hamas saying it, but there was never an agreement. So it was like, you can't have an agreement if only one side, like Trump was like, it's happening. The leader of Hamas was like, we did agree to it, but that's on a very surface level. All these other things in there, they were not agreed to. Like you heard the young man, the Palestinian, saying we were given 5 minutes to get out of here or whatever. It's just, it's so inept, like all of this shit. Anyway, what is in the comments?
It's what they want us to believe.
You know, but like something like that's pretty major. And I was kind of like, right away, I was surprised. Why isn't this huge news? And it was like news for 5 minutes. So here's the other thing that is bigger news now. This was I posted this video a few days ago, and now it's taken another turn. So check this out.
Confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
So a couple of things. I thought that was interesting that Fox was breaking that news. The other thing is currently, well, and then my commentary was that we were not, like, Trump did not prepare, and he also thought this was going to be a super quick war. He thought they were going to go in, attack Iran. And remember when Israel and the United States first attacked Iran, Trump was putting out all this bullshit about, like, the Iranians are going to welcome us, we're going to liberate them, we're going to help them, and all that stuff. That shit never happened. So, and it wasn't going to happen. I don't know where he got that from. I think it's from his own circle, the incompetent ones, in the Pentagon that are left that he's listening to. They're telling him the good shit, or he's not listening. I should say, I'm not there. I don't know, but he's not listening to the right people. And apparently now he and Pete Hegseth have been going on about it because he's claiming he wasn't told. He probably was told, but didn't listen. In and out, it was going to be quick. What do y'all think? What do you have to say about that?
He was told. We need to find a video clip of questions asked to him, because I know he's been asked that question about ammunition.
I put this back up so you can see the drop. So you can see before, pre-war, at the ceasefire, and now they cannot sustain the attacks. That's why that's why it's like slowed down, because they don't have the munitions. But
one of the more hilarious clips that I saw was Mike Walls on one of the Sunday shows. I don't know if you caught this. He started to go off and say, well, because of Biden, all of the stockpiles were depleted. And then the interviewer almost immediately said, wait a minute, the stockpiles of missiles are depleted? And he said, no, they're not depleted. They're totally fine. And anybody that suggests otherwise is committing treason. It was roll back the tape roughly 30 seconds, Mike, because according to your definition, you just committed treason. Like, such clowns. Such clowns these people are.
They are. I'm a little behind here. I'm loading more videos.
Sorry, folks. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, which is why we were late.
We're not having.
Unfortunately.
Oops. There we go. Okay. So we're moving on.
Favorite section. All the president's sins.
So let's. You mentioned Tim Walz, and that made me think about this. I don't know if I have that clip handy where Trump is acting like a fool yet again.
No, Mike. I was like, who mentioned Tim Walz? I said Mike Walz, former national security guy.
I missed that mention too. I just came from Truth Social, by the way, and he is on a particular kind of rant today. Where he is posting all those, like AI generated photos of him doing things. Mm-hmm. Like one is where he's a doctor, like he's helping Rosie O'Donnell, who has Trump derangement syndrome, whatever. Then there's one of him with General Patton and General MacArthur, and he's in the middle in a uniform. And again, I would like to stress this is a man that like paid to completely avoid military service. And there he is in a military uniform. Then there's a picture with him, currently modern day him with President Kennedy, the one that was assassinated at Camp David. So there's that he posted. And then, of course, the Trump 2028 poster. And yeah, there's a whole bunch. Like he was going through like, and that was like all in the course of like, I don't know, 30 minutes. He was just sharing all his AI stuff. But anyway, that means he's in his feels about his mortality is what I'm telling you. Because anytime he starts doing that stuff, it's like, oh, he's going to die. So he starts posting all that like feverishly.
I like Teresa's comment in the comments. Teresa Boston.
Which one?
I don't know. Teresa.
No,
which comment?
He thought they wouldn't fight back. Exactly.
Yeah, he totally did not. And he certainly, I mean, again, we should remind everybody every day that the Strait of Hormuz was open before the war and it's not now, and who's controlling it, and that's Iran. So anyway, okay, so there was a cyber attack. And I think the governor of Minnesota was the first one to call it out, but although it was a multi-state attack, and then Trump says this.
Can you rule out that Iran is behind the water attacks? Can you rule out that Iran is behind that cyber attack?
I think that Minnesota is behind it. You know who's behind it? Minnesota, because they're grossly incompetent. I think the governor's behind it. I don't think there was an Iranian cyber attack. I think that Minnesota ought to get its act together. It's one of the worst run states. JD will tell you. We found tremendous corruption in Minnesota. Yes, sir. And by the way, just gave me a report. Massive future things having to do with corruption in Minnesota are happening right now. Thank you.
Somebody sued him for that.
I feel like I'm always getting this kind of shit when I'm driving. So I can't really, like, I heard this press conference and I'm like, what the, like, it's crazy. Like, because they're reporting a cyber attack and he's like, it's Minnesota. It's not. They're asking if it's Iran. I mean, what is that? Do you think it's for Minnesota and its governor?
Yes.
That's just clouding his vision, or he's trying to hoodwink us? Like, do you think he really is
Waltz humiliated him many times on the campaign trail. He called him out. He said things that there were a lot of little clips.
And he's
going
really well
around.
liked. So I will say this: Kamala Harris had she was polarizing in some respects. There were people on the right that didn't like her and like that said that as much, and there were a lot of character attacks and all that kind of stuff. Walz had less of that. He did. He had a lot of sympathy, especially because he was a family man, because of his son. Yeah, I'm saying. And he was really likable. I mean, he was good at what he did. He was likable in a way that Trump could never be. And I think that threatened Trump. Like, in addition to the fact that Walz was like calling him out on that, there weren't any other people like coming at Walz. Like, there's nobody tearing him down. And I'm sure that bothered Trump. I'm sure that bothered Trump.
So, and he also called him out during the, I don't know what we want to call it, when he sent National Guard to Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Or ICE.
For sure.
All of that.
But why did he send the National Guard to Minnesota in the first place? It was because of
that part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So was this cyber attack over the water system?
Okay, well, before you get into that, this will answer some questions.
Yeah, that was just a
Intelligence note reviewed by ABC News provides the clearest indication.
Just real quick, this newer report was this morning.
Yet that Iran may be behind cyber attacks targeting water and wastewater utilities in more than a dozen states and prepared for them months in advance. The note says public safety officials in Utah identified targeted reconnaissance against water infrastructure in their state using an internet signature linked to Iran. The note said there were nearly 500 attempted intrusions in a 46-minute window November 24th. That's 3 months before the U.S. and Israel launched their first strikes. Officials in New Jersey are now confirming 2 municipal water utilities in their state were targeted, temporarily blinding operators when automated systems went down. Both utilities shifted to manual controls and there was no disruption to service. In Rapid City, South Dakota, officials discovered what they called a cyber incident in the city's wastewater system. It was quickly resolved, and officials said at no time was the city's water or wastewater infrastructure systems placed in jeopardy. And in Minnesota, the first state to publicly report the hacks, the governor said they're over.
Most of this was things that were being done over a Wi-Fi network, and it ended up not compromising any water supply, but it showed some of the vulnerabilities.
There's no evidence the hacks have put public drinking water supplies anywhere in the country at risk.
You have the attacks on sort of the digital realm, but it's the water going through the pipes. And the good news is so far, shutting down the attackers, shutting down those systems, they could still go to manual controls and still make sure that water safety and water availability is there for where people live.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to move.
So that's a lot of states.
This country.
And Tim Walz did all those states. I mean, come on. I think there should be follow-up questions with Trump at this point on and just let him talk himself in circles. It's
in any normal scenario, in any other president, obviously this would be aimed at Iran. This would be used as propaganda for the war. No, it's used as an ego boost for Trump. That just shows how just ridiculously deranged he is in terms of his thinking, that he can't even see that this would be a way to justify his war. He instead uses it as a personal attack.
And he can't even walk.
He thought that wig he had on was good too. So
Michelle,
his
I saw
judgment
your post. I saw your post. That's in the queue. Let's just show it now. That was cool.
I asked, my post was, is his hair growing horizontally?
Look at my hair.
What?
Look at my hair. 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 Look at my hair.
It's horizontal now.
I couldn't pass it up.
Going this way.
Are you saying Donald Trump is getting wiggy with it?
He is.
God help us.
And someone said, I forgot to send you the picture.
AI generation. What's that?
Y'all have all seen the one with his mom's picture. Like,
yes.
I really think he fashioned the wig after that.
Leia
picture.
That. Yeah,
oh, my
it does look like his mom. So I have a question. Is this a toupee or a wig? What is this?
I would go with toupee.
Yeah, it's a piece.
So if it's a toupee, it must be glued on then. Yeah, because
absolutely.
He's gonna be walking in the wind. He's going on, Air Force One, Marine One. So we have to pay careful attention, you guys.
I want to point out, you guys, that I literally I went and watched these are clips from actual live videos that were done. These aren't like clips I found or photos I found. These are actual from the videos from 2 days ago, or technically 3 days ago now, the first photo. And this was from yesterday.
Crazy.
As someone who used to do hair, I have to tell you, I don't know who let him out. I don't know who let him out with that thing on his head. But it's so obvious.
Hopefully he's heard.
It's
when did this first appear? This new hair. Was it yesterday?
Las Vegas, when he was in Las Vegas.
So
that's from Las Vegas.
Maybe he lost a bet.
Maybe.
Good God.
And it's not the
he was
hair.
Just here. He just came to Los Angeles area, Palos Verdes, for our RNC fundraiser, and there was a not really a death threat, but they caught some guy with a gun on the property, and I didn't notice it then, so I don't know. And that was.
They actually didn't even say that it was a death threat, Chris. They actually said that there was a gentleman who had firearms, and then there were some things that he said online that were in question. So it was just I'm sorry. I'm having a really hard time with
we have
this man.
That was my thing. I feel like it was his poll numbers are very low, and this might be a way to recover. But we have a news report here. Hold on.
President Trump touched down in Los Angeles, federal authorities announcing the arrest of an armed man at the president's golf course. Officials say plainclothes federal agents reported a suspicious man on Trump National Golf Course in Rancho Palos Verdes Sunday afternoon. Authorities say the man was spotted walking throughout the golf course grounds, taking pictures and videos, and appearing to monitor security planning activities. Deputies responding to the golf course detaining 38-year-old Janine John Taylor, saying they found hollow point bullets in his pockets, locating and searching his vehicle, saying they found a loaded pistol. Authorities then conducted additional searches, finding an illegally modified AR-style rifle, body armor, radio signal devices, and multiple notebooks containing what officials described as concerning statements.
This urgent investigation is still underway. The suspect was arrested on multiple charges, but could face more. Authorities say there's no current ongoing threat to the public.
Yeah, so that happened, I want to say Tuesday, because I was upset because of traffic. I thought traffic might be really bad. I want you guys to see this too, the polls. So, because we were just talking about maybe that was part of it. You've got all these polls kind of agree. They're within like a point of each other, that his approvals are down, like in the low 30s. And these are the last of MAGA just hanging on for dear life. That's what it seems like to me. Moving on. Did you guys see this too? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we've seen him have bad poll numbers before and, survive them. Hopefully this is not one of those times, but
I think it's hard to see what matters is the midterms, right? And have we ever seen a president with like low approval numbers like this? And, the opposing party doesn't take over when it comes to the, House and Senate, or at least the House.
Historically, the party out of power takes over at least one of the houses, regardless.
There are a few situations where that doesn't happen, but it is like
correct.
Almost all right. I'm clarifying. Like it's so not common, is what I'm saying. And in those not common situations, it was like it wasn't something that was like what we're seeing now, is what I'm saying. It was something like it was really close, and it wasn't. It's just it's that hard to consistently keep both control of both houses at all, but especially if you're if you're holding office as the president, that's just really hard to do. Even in the best situations, that's hard to do. So not in situations like this, where there is like ample ammunition and ample reasons people would be upset to show up and vote against him. Like they have actual cause. I'm just saying, like, presidents that have done a pretty good job lose one or both of the houses because they're in control, because people don't like the idea of a party having too much power, which is like the irony of Republicans getting to this point when historically people have said we don't like really any party having that much control, like Republican or Democrat. But I saw a video the other day that was talking about, if we could right the wrongs that have happened, right? Like if we have the stamina, if we have the wherewithal. And it is concerning to me that we made it this far, even though people have this, if you ask them, they're not comfortable with a party having control of all branches of government. And yet, so anyway, like just as a reminder, and we'll talk about it in our CTA as well, if people could just get involved and stop letting Republicans suppress voter turnouts, that will help our cause here.
So I put these two together because this was the first time I actually saw a response from Trump about you notice he's always saying, my poll numbers are great, they've never been better. And I thought this was interesting because it's hard to see, so I'm going to read this. The New York Times just reporting, Trump's polling numbers hit a new low. Don't expect him to change course. Mr. Trump himself has made clear that he sees a different reality than most independent pollsters. So basically, he does not believe these polls. And this is why he keeps acting like a nut. Because most presidents would pivot. You see this, at least I'm not saying it would work, but they would try to pivot. And here's the other thing that's not happening. Another thing that patriotism unifies the country. if you're going to war after you've been attacked. Like we rallied around Bush when we were attacked after 9/11. He was a new president. I didn't like the man, but even I was just like, okay, we got to support our president. We are at war and nobody knows why we're there. We were not attacked, so it's just, and he keeps manipulating the market and doing all this shit. There's nothing Trump is doing that is going to help his poll numbers. He's not even trying. I guess he doesn't believe them. That's what it sounds like.
I don't think he cares.
I don't think so either.
He doesn't care about our struggles, the economy, and all that. He said it out loud.
I don't think he cares about his poll numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the key point, though, is the post from Craig that you had put up, Chris. Good poll numbers, bad poll numbers. Everybody has to lay it all on the field. We got to do everything that we can because this Republican Party in particular is going to do everything that they can to stop us from rightfully taking the House and hopefully the Senate. Whether it's legal, whether it's not legal, they will try every trick in the book to prevent that from happening.
Well, did you guys, so he went to Camp David and did you guys see their cabinet meeting there? This is why, like, they all have to kiss his freaking ass. It's so gross.
On the acting attorney general.
Well, I'm talking about the weaponization against large numbers of people in our country by the Biden administration and by.
My bad. I don't know where that video is. I must have labeled it wrong. But anyway, they were just taking turns around this table, telling him how wonderful he was, and it was just it's really gross. And this is not the first time we've seen that. Same thing at the cabinet meetings in DC at the White House. It's crazy. And they all, I don't know. I mean, none of them believe it. And I don't know who tells them to say this shit, or they just know, like, this is what we do. I don't know.
This is the difference of the second term versus the first term. The first term, you had some adults in the room. And the second term, they realized that the only thing he cares about is loyalty. It is the reports that were coming out this week saying, there are rumblings that Pete Hegseth might get fired. He's not going to get fired. No one that is as sycophantic as Pete Hegseth will get fired. The only thing that Donald Trump cares about is loyalty and making sure that they boost his ego. And if you do those things, then you're golden.
Well, unless you, I was going to say Kristi Noem was the exception to that, but I think she overstepped her boundaries by really trying to be a focal point, which took away from him.
It went off the rails for her when she did that, like, six-figure photo shoot or $1 million photo shoots.
Let's be quite honest. That is the other
great point. Yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm gonna be a little bit contrarian here because I think that there is a chance that Pete Hegseth could get fired, because one way other than what Chris mentioned to get yourself in trouble with Trump is to make him look bad. And if the stockpile of weapons is so depleted that we really can't attack Iran with weapons anymore, and we are stuck in the status quo as it currently exists, Pete Hegseth will have made Donald Trump look very, very bad. And in that case, he is very much in danger.
Yeah. Okay, this about the economy, I think it should piss everybody off because I'm so tired of the gaslighting.
We're doing badly on the economy. By the way, job numbers. We have more people working in the United States today than ever in history. We're doing an unbelievable job. Costs are coming way down. I inherited, they talk about costs. I inherited very, very high costs, and they're all coming down now. The food, the groceries, it's all coming down. We've done a great job. I think we should be given an A+ on the economy, but I think that's coming. People are starting to talk about it.
I mean, when you hear that, don't you get, like, I see
A+ for authoritarianism, maybe. And not for the economy.
The economy is growing. The economy is doing really well for the 1% of 1%. And that's
For the
all he
investors.
cares about. That's the only segment of the economy that he cares about at all. And everything else, yes, is absolute gaslighting.
His financial portfolio is growing excessively. His family's financial portfolio is growing excessively. All of his friends, their companies and corporations are doing super well, right? I don't know how long that lasts though. And I've always said that. I'm like, at some point, right? Yes, the grifting people and those tied very close to him, they will benefit. But at some point, this does start to impact companies at large, certainly small businesses, but then eventually like the bigger, because, you know, people they can't afford to do like big Christmas shopping or, you know, whatever. So when we enter these seasons where companies like big retailers expect, you know, lots of sales and people just can't do that, they're going to suffer. And I guess everybody's concerned about now and not like 6 months from now, but eventually when does that 6 months from now happen is what I'm asking. Like at some point, don't they say, meh, this isn't great for us?
And we are going to see a bubble burst. We are going to see, especially with AI, you know, up until the past couple of years, Tesla was the best example of that, of a company that is so ridiculously overvalued compared to what it should be. But we're seeing the same thing with these tech companies now, where there's been so much carnival barker hyping of AI to things that it absolutely cannot do. And there's been so much value put into that. That bubble is going to burst, and that is going to be incredibly hurtful to the economy, to the point of possibly putting us in a full-blown recession.
Crazy. Go ahead, Susan.
Well, there's something that hasn't happened yet. It will. Is after November, all the Medicaid cuts will start.
Yeah. The big beautiful bill was planned so that the real pain happens after the midterms.
And the hospitals will close and people will die.
I mean, that's already been happening, and it's just gonna. So the one thing about the hospitals, when we talked about this, I think on last week's live, rural hospitals, I don't want to say protected, but there is a fund for rural hospitals, because when they were doing this bill, that was a big part of the debate for red states, right? For senators in red states, they were fighting over rural hospitals. They put a hospital fund in place. It's a couple $2 billion. I don't remember how much it is, and it's only for a few years. It's very temporary. What they didn't plan for there's a lot of hospitals already struggling. So it's not just rural hospitals, it's hospitals in, inner cities that aren't getting the funding in the first place. So this is just a death knell to a lot of these hospitals.
I went to my rural hospital recently, and there were wings of the hospital that were just closed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do business anymore.
Well, part of that is going to be the tremendous cuts. I mean, Chris is right. They were already not getting funding, and many of the rural areas of the country are starting to experience what they call a healthcare desert, which means that they don't have any hospital for hundreds of miles.
Right.
And God forbid you have an emergency, because.
And we can include clinics there. It's not just hospitals.
Yes. Hospital, clinics, hospitals, not many doctors at all. And a lot of these hospitals survive based on Medicare and Medicaid payments. So when you cut 500 million or 420 million, I think it is actually, from Medicare and 1 trillion from Medicaid, these hospitals can't survive. And guess what? The hospitals also happen to be the largest employers in a lot of these towns.
Right.
So God knows what's going to happen to the towns at large. I mean, you could have a lot of rural people that can't live anywhere because they don't have a job, they don't have medical care, they can't pay for their bills. They've got to go somewhere else.
Well, it's got to the point here with my cancer infusions. I have to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours back.
Okay,
So
that's why you were staying locally near the hospital.
we stayed in a hotel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it's cheaper, right? At that point, when you're paying for gas too.
Yeah.
The level of
That's 4 hours
care
of driving.
has decreased as well, you guys. So like my husband had a heart attack, right? 2 years ago and a stroke. And so he was required to come in because he's on a lot of medications. So they were having him come in like every 4 months to make sure that, you know, everything was okay, that the meds were working, that there wasn't any problems. And we were just told not that long ago, sorry, but we're trying to, you know, sort of make room because we don't have enough doctors anymore, right? They lost a couple doctors. They let go, I think, 2 physicians in like the neurology department. They let go of a cardiologist in the cardiology department. And so now my husband's care has gone from seeing someone every 4 months to seeing someone every 7 or 8 months.
Oh.
So it, you know, and for me, I mean, I've got my own health issues. It took me, they sent me, I got a referral for UCSF. It took me 10 months. 10 months. I finally got to see somebody a couple weeks ago. It's ridiculous. Like, that's not care. That's not care. Like, when you're in pain, when you're not feeling well, and you're literally being told, sorry, can't get you in tomorrow, but we can get you in 2 months, which I can't even tell you how many times that's happened, where I'm screaming on, well, only once did I scream, but I literally was calling every day, please, can you get my husband in? Please, can you get my husband in? Please, like every day. And they finally got tired of me and they were like, okay, we can get you in 3 days.
Now,
Like, it
Michelle,
shouldn't have to
what
be that way.
area are you?
We're in Sonoma County, right? So we're close to San Francisco. We've got a little, you know, Santa Rosa, the city of Santa Rosa, which is a decent size. We've got a great hospital. We've got an amazing hospital that it's one of the best cardiologists, like, I don't know what the term is, like for like heart surgery, people who are having heart attacks. That's where you want to go. But once you're out of there, once you're out of the ICU, once you're out of the hospital, good luck. That's where we're at.
And we talked about this last week in terms of the healthcare premiums being announced, that the projections for next year going up 10, 20, whatever percent. You're going to have a significant number of people, even more so than this previous year, as prices rise, as inflation keeps on, dropping their health insurance completely, using less health care that will fund the system less, that will cause more people to wait longer to get treatment, that will overrun emergency rooms. This is going to spiral out of control very quickly if something is not done.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't want to scare people, but we finally just got an itemized bill. I wanted an itemized bill, right? I want to see what we were being charged for. And my husband was in the ICU for 4 days, and like the cardio unit for like a half a day, and then the neuro unit for like maybe 12 hours. $500,000.
That's about what I was thinking.
$500,000. Who can afford that? Who can afford? You can't. And I'm sorry, is there like you get a refund for cash for someone saving your husband's life? I don't think so.
This is why everybody needs health insurance, because
exactly,
yes, it's ridiculously expensive, but you reach your maximum that you have to pay out of pocket, and then they pay the rest. And it's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. Then they pay the rest of the $480,000. So you don't have to declare bankruptcy and lose everything that you own. But when you're not getting any help from the government and insurance prices keep going up and up and up, you can't afford to pay health insurance, and then you get stuck with a bill. And of course, you can't pay it, and you still go bankrupt anyway. And then the hospital can't get paid, and it's just a vicious cycle because the hospital ultimately can't afford to do that, and they're going to go under.
Well, and like Teresa posted, all the healthy people have left the marketplace. I can't stress to folks enough. My husband was healthy as a horse. Like, what happened to him? He had a widowmaker heart attack, completely unexpected. Like, there were no warning signs, nothing. He was out in the field the day before, mowing the lawn and doing all his thing, you know, mowing the field, baling hay, like doing all the things. There was zero warning. There was zero indication that anything was wrong. So super unexpected. So yeah, bad things happen. Accidents happen. You know, car accidents happen. Falls happen. We can't.
Well, it's
we
not
just,
like
this is
insurance
not
would pay
sustainable.
if you were doing some of the preventative treatments. It's not like they would pay for that either, right? Some of the stuff they will, but a lot they won't. So even if you could have maybe done some things, if they at all were like outside of traditional medicine, or even in some cases if they are traditional medicine, or if it's like extra scans or whatever, the insurance probably isn't going to pay for it. They just rather you have a big, gigantic, major catastrophic event, and then they'll deal with it. They're just
Listen, I
banking on
mean,
that.
It's crazy.
People have said many times during all of this saga that you're one healthcare emergency away from bankruptcy, right?
Sure.
I will tell you a personal story. Thank God that we are able to afford health insurance, because back in March, as I think everybody on this call knows, you may or may not remember, I had cellulitis. Cellulitis. Now it generally isn't a major thing, but it can be. It can result in sepsis, and they caught it in me just before I got the sepsis. But still, 5 days in the hospital, and if I didn't have insurance, and listen, I'm a lawyer. I've got thankfully, no major financial issues. Put 2 kids through college. I have no complaints. That could have wiped me out.
Yep.
Could have completely wiped me out. A lifetime worth of work could have been wiped out because of cellulitis.
Yeah. And you know, to Susan's point about Medicaid and what's going to happen with hospitals, we know this is going to happen because it's already been happening. If you look at states that refuse Medicaid expansion, you can everybody just Google Mississippi and refusal to accept Medicaid expansion. They have already, and this is a couple of years ago when I was really into with working with Mississippi, they were already losing clinics, hospitals. People were already going to be faced with 20-mile drives just to, God forbid, they're having a heart attack or some shit. So this has already been happening. We know 100% what's going to occur here.
But my son, who has cystic fibrosis, is on a medication that costs $385,000 a year. That's just one. So that's covered under Medicaid. Medication is kind of, it just, I don't know, blows my mind.
A lot of it, because, I've been pretty vocal about our own situation with insurance. We just, our shit went from $1,700 a month, which for a lot of people, that people would consider that a lot of money. And that's for my wife, myself, and my daughter. My son's already an adult and doing his own insurance. Went from $1,700 to $3,000. So that's from 1 month to the next. It wasn't like a gradual increase. It had already been gradually increasing. And my wife was the one that she says, I don't want to do this anymore. This is ridiculous. So we are now negotiating our own our own healthcare. So I'm just saying this, I'm not recommending it to necessarily anybody, but when you negotiate out of pocket, it's a very different price. I think if you have a chronic illness, I wouldn't recommend this at all. But if you are negotiating like blood tests or anything and doing cash, you just say, what's the cash payment? That doesn't mean green money. That means, you could give a credit card. It's a different rate. That just means settling it the day of the.
But it's still like a gamble. It's a roll of the dice because you have to hope that you don't have. And I think it makes sense for people who are younger or healthier or
Casey,
whatever.
$36,000 a year is what we would be paying for
Listen,
insurance.
you know,
but,
we pay
it just
almost
it feels like a
$2,000,
shakedown.
and that's
It feels like a
what
shakedown.
we've been paying. I'm saying, like, we've been paying, so ours are going to go up. We've been paying like almost $2,000 a month for ours for crappy insurance, just because of the where my husband works or whatever and how it looks. I've been complaining about this for years. I'm like, is anybody else paying this? And apparently nobody else was. Apparently we really were paying ridiculous prices. I'm like, why is it so terrible? So I've sort of been experiencing this for a while, and it's awful. But yeah, like that's when people ask, like, oh, like, why don't you all have a house in Northern Virginia where it's super expensive to live right outside of DC? Oh, I don't know, because half my like paying goes to this, my health insurance already. I like, imagine if I had that back. Imagine if our taxes actually went to healthcare. And I made a joke about free healthcare, and I had somebody from Switzerland in my comments, or Sweden, I can't remember. And they were trying to explain to me why it wasn't free. And I was like, but I pay the same taxes already.
Right.
Like, I do pay taxes for parks and things like that. I just don't get health insurance. So like, I know that it's not, but it would feel free to me because I'm already paying those taxes.
Everybody
I would just
would
get
be
something for it.
equal. Everybody would be equal. And Chris, I love the fact that you shared a healthy family story about how much it went up.
Yeah.
Because when I
we're self-employed, so we buy our insurance from the exchange. And so over the years, when the ACA first came out, it was great because we saved so much money. We actually had platinum insurance, and we were paying fairly high, but nowhere near what we were paying now. And then the ACA came out, and we got a less. It wasn't platinum, but it was so much cheaper. We're like, let's do that. And then over the years, there we were, $1,700 for crappy, and like Casey was saying, crappy insurance.
Really bad insurance.
More expensive, worse insurance. And we are not alone. There are a lot of people going through that.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to clarify. I want to clarify though. A lot of these insurance plans and how they're sold is that it will cover a catastrophic event, right? Like, so if I had something like what happened to Adam, right, that part would be covered. I mean, I would have to pay a bunch up front and like do all that stuff, but the bigger expenses would be covered. But what I'm saying is the stuff that you have to do on a regular basis, like co-pays and prescriptions and your doctor's visits, and like anybody that has chronic illness knows what I'm saying. You have a lot of those things too. All of that, like, you had to absorb all those costs, or that it was a disproportionate amount. So to be fair, if I really did get into a situation like Michelle's husband or something, it would save me then. But I might not make it there because I might die trying in the meantime.
Okay, can I tell you something else? And this is not, I'm not saying it works if you have a heart attack. My son, I think it was during COVID, he was home for COVID from college, and he was bike riding, and he flipped his bike, fell onto the curb, and fractured his wrist. We came and got him, took him to emergency, at Cedars. I don't know if I should be saying this, but they did their thing, sent him home, and with a cast, and the bill was like, I think it was like $2,400, for being at emergency and getting a cast. Okay. I said, tell those people your parents aren't paying and you are a student. And that's what he did. And they said, okay, sign this paper. And he, filled it out, signed his name. I think it was like $150.
I love it.
$150. So it's like, you just play hardball sometimes.
If you lived in Europe though, if you lived in Europe, they would fix this real quick because people could just like walk across the border and get healthcare like so easily.
Listen,
they would never let this happen for that reason. Like the other countries would be like, you're going to have to get your shit together because we're not absorbing the cost of your crappy healthcare. But because we are this like enormous expansive body kind of by ourselves out here, we can just exist with shitty healthcare that we have to pay for. It's crazy.
Well,
we've normalized this even.
I think it's important for all the healthy people to share their stories and their costs, because when people look at my story and my family, they're like, Jesus Christ, your whole fucking family's sick. It's serious. It's just like.
But this is why. Okay, so I don't I don't know what the right words are. I would say, I don't know if saying I don't mind is the right thing to say, but I just feel like this is why we pay taxes. This is why, I am fine with some of my taxes going to help people that are sicker, or people that can't afford insurance. Like that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. So it's like, I don't just think of myself, but I would also like not to pay I would like to not pay $36,000 a year for a healthy family.
Well, and I think what's interesting, most people who are on Medicaid, they're on Medicaid because they earn probably, I think it's $24,000 or less a year. And so there's a reason why we need Medicaid. There's a reason why we need Medicare. It's frustrating to me also when we talk about this administration and how they want to, basically nationalize abortion bans. And you're talking about young women getting pregnant and not being able to even afford having the child, right? I mean, it is thousands of dollars to have a child in a hospital. So I don't understand what we're doing. I think
my son was like $3,000, or maybe it wasn't that much compared.
Some people are getting rich, just not us. It's somebody though. Somebody's out there making money.
I saw a good comment from someone from a country with socialized medicine saying, sure, your taxes are going to go up, but you need to think, in my country, we have free tuition, we have free daycare, we have health insurance,
family leave.
So instead of thinking of, the cost of insurance and blah, 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 think of it as the cost of life, that it's one bill. And if you were to message it that way and say, yes, the taxes would go up, but all of these costs would be gone. And so if we start doing some math, we can see that your overall bill would be far less, but we just have this piecemeal version of paying for things that people just aren't economically intelligent enough to see, not educated enough to see that, yes, paying higher taxes will save you money, and here's why.
Yeah.
Well, and let's bring it back to the war, the Iran war, because Hegseth wanted this huge budget and a huge, increase in that budget for military purposes. And basically, when I did the math, they would have been basically asking us to spend probably the average person, another $2,000 a year in taxes to cover that. We're talking about, we are in trillions of dollars of debt that we have never, this is just it's crazy. When you look at the debt ceiling, where are we at? $40 trillion? I mean, it's just, this is insanity. And our kids, what are we doing? Like, our kids can't do, I don't, sorry.
I want to piggyback off of what Chris was talking about these countries that have socialized medicine or healthcare. If you look at the list that they put out of the happiest countries on earth, that's them. They have better quality of life than a lot of other countries, and that's part of it because they have those kind of benefits. They're not free; they pay for them, but people are not getting rich. Insurance companies are not getting rich over there. Okay, so we're gonna move on.
And you can't. By the way, you can't fake that anymore because now social media enables people to see into the lives of other people and these other countries, those people to speak about what's happening. And so it's not just, a newspaper article or this or whatever. It's real people that they know that are content creators or whatever, sharing their real stories. And you can't, the government can't just lie about it. Or, they do. Obviously Republicans try to fearmonger and try to call people commies and all this other stuff. But then, the proof is in what we're actually seeing and believing in front of our faces. So it's going to be this is why younger generations, Gen Z and younger are going to demand it. They're not going to allow this to continue because it's just the proof is right in front of us.
It's going to get worse when
Well, yeah.
I was teaching. I had walked into lunchroom, strange man sitting there, and he said, "I'm here to sell you helicopter insurance." And I said, "I don't fly a helicopter. What the hell do I need?" He said, "No, it's in case you get in an accident." And I said, "But my insurance pays for that, right?" He said, "No." I said, I work for the county, and you're telling me that I can't get a helicopter ride to the hospital? Fuck you. Get out of my room.
Susan's spicy tonight.
I love it. I really love it.
All right, you know what, you
I got
guys,
my internet
we're
connection
running
back.
over here.
Yay, Adam's back.
Yeah, welcome back. All right, so let's just run through. We're in the President's Sins section
we're
of our
still
live.
there? Okay.
We're gonna
yeah,
run through some shit quickly now. If you want to do your 30-second comment after, do that, and then we're gonna move quickly so we can get on to the next. We want to get to the midterm madness part of our live here, but anyway. So, did you guys see the helipad thing? So apparently Trump, who was originally supposed to pay for this helipad? Was it Lockheed Martin or what? Who was it? Somebody said they were gonna. He said somebody was gonna pay for it. It wasn't supposed to be us, which I don't think any of us believed it. Who? Northrop? Yeah, maybe. So, but now he doesn't like it. So he's having it torn out and redone. And so is Northrop paying for it twice? No, I doubt it. So like there we are. Then all of a sudden, we've been hearing about Trump golfing all these years, right? On our dime with, flying to wherever. And now we're starting to see clips. I have never seen these clips of Trump playing golf.
Go,
How short he hit.
Could happen.
Go.
Could be.
Get in there. Get in. Get in. Ugh.
I posted this, and a lot of golfers are like, "This is just unacceptable." This is putting. And he won. He's claiming to have won 45 tournaments, 43 tournaments.
Not much.
Is the ball supposed to go in the hole?
Yeah. And then there's this one where he's cheating.
Is this recent?
Yeah, that's cheating. You see what he did with the ball? That he cheated. Yeah,
wait, what's that called? There's a name for it. What's it called?
Pathetic.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's like a person's name.
When it's that close, it's called a gimme.
Yeah.
It's supposedly.
Well, no, it's that but it's something else. But okay, I'll think about it. It'll come to me.
Then did you hear remember that really expensive 4th of July celebration, the UFC match the weekend before? UFC lost $30 million. $30 million on that event.
I'm telling y'all are underestimating how pissed off people are right now. How utterly annoyed.
I mean, can you imagine? Like crazy.
Like UFC can't even make money on this shit show. Like that's a pretty bad sign.
This week they mislabeled every single country in Africa.
I made a video. If anybody's interested, you can go to my page.
Oh yeah. Like nobody checks their work. What's that?
Yeah.
I made a video. You can go to my page and I covered the whole thing. If you want more on it, I'm saying.
Can he stop embarrassing us? This is like
so
crazy.
Embarrassing.
And I mean, remember they've been using AI during this war, and Pete Hegseth let it slip out a little bit during his grilling.
That's how they killed the girls' school, right? The girls in the school. That was one of the first big things that mistakes that were made. And they tried to pretend like it wasn't that, but everybody said no, they were using an AI outdated map or something.
Yeah.
And the Africa map, I think, is incredibly scary.
They even got South Africa wrong?
It's not.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's not the map. It's not even the AI. It's the idea that you have people working in the State Department that couldn't pass a 9th grade world cultures test on a map of Africa, that no one caught that. And so if they can't even label the map, what does that speak to their ability to speak to foreign leaders, to negotiate things, to do anything?
But it's not even a knowledge thing. In some cases, it might even be a work ethic, right? So that's even, to me, that's even scarier, because people can learn, right? Knowledge can be learned or acquired. But you know what? If you don't give a fuck about things, it's really hard. Like, it's hard from there, right? You always want a student that cares and maybe has less knowledge or even less capacity for learning, right? Versus one that does not give a fuck, right? That's, to me, these are people that don't care enough to even bother to check, because that's the kind of bravado, that's the kind of ego that this administration has and brings to the table here, is they shouldn't have to check their work. Like,
you're being extremely generous. We're in Trump's second term. We are 2 years into Trump's second term, and I don't want anyone working in the State Department that needs to learn anything about the map of Africa. They should not be
And check your fucking work.
On the job.
Check your fucking work. If AI spits out something, check the work.
I agree. I just think that it's
How
like
many
it's
hands
more
did
than
this have
just
to
knowledge.
go through, and none of them caught it?
None of them.
I really don't think that they are looking. I
don't think. Yeah, I agree with
think
Casey. I don't think they're
people
doing
care.
it. I think they're
That
like,
part.
oh,
They don't care.
They don't have.
They probably think
integrity
Africa's
in
a
their
country.
work.
They think Africa's a country. They don't even realize.
100% they do. 100%.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
now the reflecting pool buffoonery.
Secretary Doug Burgum is doubling down on his accusations that vandalism caused damage to the reflecting pool. And this comes after President Donald Trump's hand-picked attorney for Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, said that his office misled her and said that they had overwhelming evidence to suggest that this happened. She says just the opposite. I want to remind you also, lying to federal prosecutors could be considered a federal crime. But some of these statements, look at these. She says documents given to her office showed that damage was the result of a botched installation and not vandalism. And she also says that there were signs of peeling just 2 days after that there was an inspection. And so the attorneys for David Hearn, who is the former Olympian who was charged in this case, they are asking the federal government to apologize to their client for these accusations made against him. But it doesn't seem like he's going to get that apology, because President Trump posted on Truth Social he 100% disagrees with Jeanine Pirro. And he says, to me, this was a pure case of vandalism. And he includes somehow the stain on the grass near the reflecting pool that you can see there has an 8647 sign there. And he continues to say there was major damage, even though the administration has yet to produce any video evidence to prove that there was slashes with knives, as President Trump claims.
They cut it up with a buck's knife and tried to destroy it. These people are sick. They ripped a scar 350 feet long through the side of the reflecting pool.
And we will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Hearn willfully destroyed property at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool.
Jeanine Pirro has been a rabid partisan in this position. She tried to indict the 6 Democratic members of Congress who made that video about disobeying illegal orders. She had launched the criminal investigation into Jerome Powell. She tried to prosecute a man who threw a sandwich at federal immigration agents. All of those things were gigantic flops, and this is only the latest one. It is wildly embarrassing that they ever brought this case, and that it was so bad that even she decided she had to dismiss it. And now she has her, the other principals in the administration.
How did we forget the sandwich?
It's so bad.
I did not forget the sandwich guy.
I mean, I remembered now that he said it, but I'm just like, Jesus Christ. So then Trump posts a video of the vandals at the reflecting pool. Literally tourists. Like, there's no. And remember, he was saying that they splashed the side of the reflecting pool. What is he talking about? There's no side. Like, he's making this shit up. It's 18 inches deep, the reflecting pool.
Well, they also indicted 3 other people, I think it was, besides David Hearn, and the charges were dropped against them as well. He was just the most celebrated of the cases, but I mean, just embarrassing.
I hope he sues, because
I
can
think
you
he
imagine
is.
the mental stress that he was under, trying to, first of all, the cost of defending himself. But the fact that he was literally just like, oh, here's a chip of paint that was already chipping before he ever, like, we saw it on TikTok and X and all this. People were posting videos of the paint was already chipping off. That's what immediately caught my attention. I'm like, this guy, was he there all the entire time? He was literally passing by and saw a piece of paint floating to the surface. And now we find out it was faulty workmanship, but Trump still will not accept it.
Well, I mean, you guys, he has a history of actually accusing people of doing crimes they didn't commit. So I don't think any of us should be surprised by this.
Look, we make light of this, right? Because it is a totally ridiculous set of circumstances from the outside looking in. Obviously, nobody took any box cutter and cut the reflecting pool, much less cut a 350-foot long gash in the reflecting pool. And David Hearn clearly did not do anything illegal, much less improper. But one of the other defendants gave a impassioned interview with CNN or MS Now and said, essentially, it is heartrending that here I am, an American citizen, and my young daughter has to hear the president call me a terrorist and a criminal, and I am faced with years in prison potentially when I did nothing. And I am being made the scapegoat and the victim here by the most powerful man in the world. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty close. And that's really the true evil here, right? Because so many people have been put in this position by this president and this Department of Justice and his shameless lackeys like Doug Burgum, who went on television and defended this and said, how could you possibly, Dana Bash, how could you possibly question what the government is saying in this case? And ordinary people that, I cannot remember the woman's name, and shame on me, because we should all know these people's names. This is frightening and distressing, to put it mildly, to this poor woman. She felt like her life was ruined for basically a month for absolutely no reason whatsoever other than this president's vanity.
So let me ask your expert opinion.
Oh,
can you sue, and who do you sue? Like, I would want to sue if I was that guy. But who are you suing? The United States government? The Interior Department?
Okay, I will demur on my expert opinion because this is not in my area of
your
law.
opinion matters more than mine.
I appreciate that. I am a lawyer. It is true, but this is not what I do, and lawyers are not supposed to refer to themselves as "quote unquote" experts. But
that's good.
Legal disclaimer aside. You can pursue a claim under the Federal Torts Act. You can pursue civil rights claims for false arrest, things like that. Yes, absolutely, you can. And the lower level, the district court judges are, real judges for the most part. And you've seen when you see judges push back against the Trump administration, it's usually the trial level judges, what are called the district court judges, and some of the appellate courts, depending on how many Trump appointees there are. Supreme Court, as we know, is what it is. So you can actually get satisfaction, and you see routinely a lot of the trial court judges render opinions that just generally destroy the government, as in David Hearn's case. The judges have taken the government to task. The perfect example is the case against the Chicago protesters that protested the ICE facility with Kat, the congressional, who lost her primary. When the government literally falsified evidence before the grand jury, and the judge basically completely reamed them out for doing that. And frankly, reaming them out should be the least of their problems, because as lawyers, people should lose their licenses, much less their jobs. It's horrific that any American citizen should have to go through something like that at the hands of their government. If you commit a crime, you get what you deserve, unless, of course, it's at Donald Trump's behest and you decide to invade the Capitol. But that's another story. But, if you did not, you should not be victimized ever in this way. You want to talk about authoritarianism and totalitarianism? Well, that's exactly what that is. 100% the very definition.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for the reflecting poll. I don't know is it over? Like, they dropped the case, but Trump's like pushing back, but that's all verbal. So I guess
I'm not sure when I didn't follow the case closely enough, but I believe that jeopardy attaches. Jeopardy, everybody's heard double jeopardy. There's no double jeopardy, which means that you can't be tried twice for the same crime, right? Mm-hmm. I believe that attaches once a jury is impaneled, and didn't get anywhere close to that. So theoretically, could they indict David Hearn and the other people again? I guess they could. It would be awfully hard to do that with an affidavit from Jeanine Pirro and her office saying these people didn't do it and they dismissed the charges. So I wouldn't think it would be very wise of them to do. But then again, wisdom is not exactly a strength of this government and this Department of Justice, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing. What I want to know, since it is now the standard to prosecute people who put 8647 on the internet, when are we going to see the arrest of Donald Trump for posting 8647? Can anybody tell me that? James Comey, I'm sure, wants to know.
Nothing's happened to him. Nothing's happening to Trump. And, it's.
Well, of course not. I mean, I'm joking.
Right? Yeah, I know. All right. So moving on to a little bit of levity here. Did you guys hear about this giant? Remember, there was a giant trophy in D.C. that moved on to Lower Manhattan.
Oh, I missed this.
They're basically mocking Trump. The same people that did the holding hand statues with Trump and Epstein. So I think they're making fun of the fact that Trump has to have trophies. So that was on display in Lower Manhattan. So anyway, there's consequences for this shit. Let's listen to a couple of voters here.
Vote for Donald Trump. Is this what you were expecting? Certainly not with the foreign wars and stuff like that. No, that's one of the things that has angered me is like almost immediately went back on his word.
He also said he would bring prices lower. Obviously, you mentioned fertilizer prices. We've seen gas prices, grocery prices, real estate prices. Is that another frustration for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's making it harder to pay off my college debt and stuff like that. I was doing pretty well for a while, and now it's kind of coming closer to a halt.
I want to have whole conversations with people like that, because when he said college debt, I want to think back to Biden's SAVE plan, where students were able to sign up for SAVE plan, and they were able to base their repayments on their discretionary income, which meant the payments went down quite a bit. They weren't accruing interest the way they were before. And I don't know. The other beef I had was when Republicans sued the Biden administration to block this. Where was the outcry? I really didn't see it. Like, I didn't see the same young folks that were like, today is a great day to forgive student loans and to do all this stuff, and you need to keep your promise. And he did. But it really wasn't. It's really not, like, that part annoys me, because it's really not for the president to forgive student loans. I don't even know why he went down that road. The pressure should be on Congress. They need to enact legislation, because honestly, when you think about it, you're doing student loan forgiveness for who? One group of students. What about so you have an older, in my case, I have an older son. maybe he's in that group that gets forgiven. What about my daughter who's just entering college? That it's going to keep starting over and over again. I'm all about low. I think the problem is systemic. It's a systemic problem with our college costs, our tuition rates, and all that shit. But I'm over it. Like just saying that the president can wave a magic wand and do this shit, and then the next president comes in and like, you know, ruins it for everybody. Like people are struggling, and I think I feel like people only fight back on Democrats when it comes to that shit. I do. When the student loans, Republicans got to pass. I did not see that same vitriol when it came to Republicans, at least not on social.
It is very frustrating. And there's so many of these issues, right? I mean, yeah, student loans. There was only one party that was really talking about student loans ever. The other
Republicans were mad. They were like, I had to pay my student loans. Why don't they? I had student loans. I paid off mine, but that doesn't mean I want the next person. First of all, college was way cheaper when I was young. And I didn't have much in the way of student loans. We were fortunate, but it's just not okay.
That's like us with our like we were just a little bit too old to have had our parents pay for our cell phones, right? Like we were just old enough to have jobs. My husband and I, I'm saying, no, that my parents didn't pay for my cell phone. Like I had to pay for my own because I was just old enough that I'd been working. I mean, I started working when I was like 14 or 15, so that's probably why. But anyway, our generation, my generation, and the elder millennials. So it would be like me saying like, oh, they should make a rule that like you can't have X amount of accounts on. I'm thrilled. If you scam a corporation, good for you. Like if you scam the government, even better. Like at this point, why in the world would you care if somebody else gets an easier route than you? Because it's gonna come back to you at some point. At some point, that comes back and helps you. Like I can't with these people.
I mean. Yeah, I'll say one other thing. In my experience, my son was accepted to Oregon, which is a public college, but it's obviously we're out of state. We live in California.
You're out of state, yeah.
And they charge 3 times tuition for out of state. And I was kind of like, well, this is basically private school tuition, more or less. And so we were looking at what the options were, and that, you know, for like grants or whatever, they were offering me the loans. And I was kind of perplexed. I'm like, why are you offering me loans for my son's education? And it finally dawned on me. This was before the SAVE plan, and I think Trump was president back then. And I realized like there was all this talk about student loan forgiveness. That's for the students. That is not for the parents taking out the loans. Mm-hmm. So they want the parents to be saddled with debt to put their kids through college, but because we're not going to be forgiven those loans. So obviously I never took out loans.
But see, my parents were teachers and they did not have like, or weren't willing to put their retirement on the line for my student loans.
Never do that shit for.
So my parents were like, you're on your own. And the only reason that I don't have more for graduate school is because my grandfather was one of those people that paid cash for cars. Because he was of that, Great Depression era, and he's a farmer in retirement. Like that was what he was doing for fun when he retired, was owning a ranch. Okay. And they did well in the Reagan years, obviously. And so he looked at the amount that I would owe in interest, because, you have to take out private loans when you exceed a certain amount, like that it's like out of state tuition would do when you're doing graduate school. And he was like, oh, absolutely not. And he wrote me like a $25,000 check. And I swear to that's the only time I've ever gotten something, because I don't come from like extreme wealth. And that's the only reason, because he would not let me take out those crazy predatory loans, because he looked at that and went, you'll never get out from under this. He wasn't a talker, but he was like, absolutely not. That was just it. It was like, you're not doing this.
School loans, the school tuitions now can easily cost from
20 plus years ago. So I'm saying, multiply that by 4 or whatever.
Chris and I, having had kids that are of college age, mine actually just graduated with his master's, my youngest. So I don't think I think they're both going to be done. But school tuition and room and board and everything costs between $200,000 to $300,000 for 4 years for a lot of kids. Now, if you're in state and you have a decent state system, you can do it a lot cheaper. But even that, those are going to be $15,000 to $20,000.
Room and
so
board.
That's $80,000 for in-state schools. I mean,
you can't live
a lot of money.
You can't live on the same money that you could before because of inflation. So now the room and board is also what's going to kill you, because there's no way to do that cheaply now. There's
tuition,
not just that,
figure out all in. Figure out all in. What it's going to cost. Tuition, the room and board, all that shit. You have to. I will.
Because UVA wasn't that expensive comparatively. I mean, it was an out-of-state school, so it was more for me, but that's still a state school. So UVA was still less. If I had gone someplace like, I don't know, a private school like George Washington, one of the most expensive, it's here, universities, you'd owe, like you said, Adam, gajillions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I did have to pay. That's why I have loans, is because I had to take out loans for that year, just for my housing and food and whatever, because I couldn't work because I was taking so many classes in that master's course. It's just wild, the amount that you take on for that short period of time. I can't even fathom now.
I'm gonna give a little bit of advice, and may sound counterintuitive, but this is our solution, because I was telling you about Oregon. I'm not going to name the names. My kids. So our solution, don't judge me, ended up being private universities for our kids. And I would just tell parents and students that are looking to go to college, definitely don't let the sticker shock on private schools scare you. Apply. Do your due diligence. Look at the scholarships. Like for my son,
they have rich people that fund.
They have endowments. Yeah. Fortunately, my kids were good students. My son was also an athlete, so he was recruited. He didn't get athletic scholarships because he wasn't a football player or basketball player, but they find money for you. Let me just put it that way. Same thing with my daughter. And my daughter was aggressive. She kept going back and saying, no, I need $15,000. No, I need another 17. And they were giving money. So I'm just saying,
but that is getting harder to do.
It is getting harder. But what I'm about to tell you,
there's so many people going to
what
school.
I'm about to tell you is the inflation is insane in these schools, and pretty much most private schools are the same tuition at this point. I don't care if it's Harvard.
It's just like hospitals.
It's approaching $100,000 a year.
Correct. That is absolutely right.
All in for a private college. Apply, do all that.
I'm going to
look at what they offer you, because you're not going to pay that price, but it's what they're charging. And that's the problem, because, for example, when my son started university, it was the tuition was like 50-something thousand. We didn't pay that. We paid a lot less. By the time he graduated, 4 years, 70-something thousand. So in 4 years, it went from 50-something, 20,000 higher. That's not inflation.
I'm going to go one step a little bit further out there. My daughter went to school in Scotland, and she went to one of the finest schools in the world, ranked on whatever, basically an Ivy League school in Scotland. 11,250 pounds, all 4 years. And you could do the math, and it was, somewhere in the low 20s, all in.
So here's the thing about us getting all of this debt, and this is why Republicans are so off base. If you care about the economy, there's all this basically untapped resources with people that are saddled with this debt. You know what they're not doing? They're not buying homes, like Casey mentioned. They're not buying homes. They're not, maybe they're electing not to even have children because it's so expensive. If you free up that money and they buy, what would that do to the economy? If they're able to spend the money on investing in homes, or maybe having a first or second child, that all comes with economic, inputs on the economy as well. I just think that we have to find a solution here. But I don't think it's just debt forgiveness. It needs major restructuring. There needs to be
education,
free tuition.
Education on what you're saying, that whole explanation of how it impacts other people, because right now there's a lot of Republican, and I don't mean elected officials or people crafting policy, I mean like actual voters that really are like, I don't want to pay for his kid to go to school. I don't want him to have good things. There's a real problem with that rugged individualism that came in and like corrupted them and taught them like all of these wrong things that we know don't make people happier, because we're looking at the happiest countries in the world and they all have the same things, right? Which is not what we have. And so there needs to be a lot of education about that, so that people realize that they are in fact ruining their own lives by objecting to these types of policies. And we don't have to win all of them over. We just have to win enough that people start voting appropriately for the people that want these kinds of more progressive policies, so that we can emulate these other countries. And like you said, it's going to take a long time, so people understand the amount of work that it's going to take to completely restructure things, because we'll have to scale it out. You know, it's going to take a lot of work to shift what has been our way for so long. But I don't think we can do it unless we have more buy-in from voters.
Here's the other thing too. There, like when you start looking at, I mean, I'm not going to say it's cheap, but like in-state college, like in California, we are very lucky. We have a lot of great colleges here. Long Beach State, I'm just going to make that as an example. I haven't Googled this since I was researching for my son, so it may be different, but at that time, the average graduation rate was 6 years. So because courses are impacted, so you're not able to get all your courses. So you're paying 6 years of that tuition. Again, if you go to a private school, they're getting you out of there. Like both of my kids are graduating.
Ask me why I wasn't a journalism major, because or why I was political science, because I couldn't get into journalism because I switched schools. And they only had like 1 or 2 classes of like 15 people at UCF, which is like the biggest school, but still like I had to like switch to something, and then I just ended up liking it, and that was fine. But if I hadn't, I would have had to stay there even longer and pay for more classes. And as it was, I got an extra degree, and at 5 years, so I stayed 5 years to get an extra degree. So I have 2 bachelors, right? They were about ready to increase my tuition, because at some point, if you get enough credit hours, then they start jacking up the prices on those credit hours. So not only are you paying to get your degree, but a lot of kids will be like, oh, okay, I'll get 2 degrees while I'll struggle this, I'll do this, whatever, to make sure that they have to wait for those classes that are full. But then they have to pay more per credit hour for those classes. It's a giant fucking scam. And that's an in-state school, by the way. That's to your point, that's an in-state school in Florida. That's how they were doing it before. I'm sure they're still doing it now because it's predatory. So anyway, and that's just so you know.
Yeah. Even your best community colleges, like here in Los Angeles, we have a few, they're impacted too. So a lot of those, it should be 2 years, right? A lot of those kids, it's taking 3 and 4 years just for junior college. And then they get cycled into working, and it's going to take longer with it. Yeah. It's a great thing if you can do it, doing the community colleges. And some of them are feeders into like UCLA or whatever, but it's not easy there either. So
yeah, I know my daughter just graduated, thank God, and this is the first fall that I don't have to worry about tuition. It's such a weird feeling, like it's August, and I'm like, oh wait, I don't have to, what's going on? But she went through that exact thing. She needed literally like 3 classes, I think, to complete at UC Santa Cruz, and she just couldn't get in. The classes weren't available. There was the whole DEI thing. So there were classes that were dropped that she was hoping to take. I mean, it was like this whole thing. She ended up moving back home, and her last year she finished here, went to the state college to get her. Like, to me, that was really sad. I mean, like, yeah, you spend all that time at school and then you can't even.
I mean, and that's if you know what you're doing.
Oh my God.
And you're not like me who changed universities 3 times and majors like 12. I had every major I think you could possibly have because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so that's just, I mean, the kids who know what they want to do. The rest of us are like, what? I don't know.
And housing was absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know if anyone's gone to Santa Cruz, but wow.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
good
I had a
luck.
friend that lived
And
there.
they hook you, right? So like,
Yeah.
for, you know, you get the dorm, you get all the options. And
My
then
uncle was
second
professor
year, you can kind of get into a dorm, and then your third, fourth year, forget it. You're out on the street. Kids were living in their cars just to get to finish their final year, so their senior year. So,
and that point you
Yeah.
just made is not uncommon at colleges everywhere, where
Yeah,
students are
exactly.
living
I
out
know
of
it's
their
not just
cars. They're using gyms to take showers and whatnot. That is very sad. That
YMCA.
is very
Yeah.
And it's like ridiculous. We're like they're out here. Republicans are claiming like we're the best country, you know, in the world. We have students sleeping in your cars. Like y'all need such a reality check if you believe that we are like the city on a hill, the best, you know, the nation to look for, to model after. Like, what are you talking about? Like, people are starving and don't have places to live. Like, it's not great. It wasn't great, but it's definitely not great now.
All right. Well, did y'all see this and the explanation behind it?
Support Trump or civilization will collapse. Those are quotes. And it's true. I'm calling for it right now. 25th Amendment, impeachment, whatever needs to happen to get this front and center, to get control of our country.
I've been very open with the fact that I will be supporting Trump. I'm completely embarrassed that I supported Trump in the past because of, you know, the fact that he completely flipped on his entire base.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. It's
I'm
a great
behind
honor.
you. I never even wanted Trump to win until he was the only guy to vote for.
Dude, Trump is the man. You guys ever meet Trump? You talk to him? No, you meet him and he's actually a solid guy.
When you're at a Trump rally, you're like, oh, I could definitely see how Hitler happened. Like, I'm not joking to you, dude. When you go to a Trump rally, it makes you question the sanity of everybody. If Trump said, go grab a gun and go do anything, they would do it. They would do it.
I know, it's a cult.
I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure. I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional.
It might be crass, and it might be certain parts of it might feel, you know, vulgar or whatever, but it is democratic to have people come out to speak directly to them. To run as an America first, and you're going to take care of America, and then turn around and go, you know, all of these things, daycare, Medicare, Medicaid, we have nothing to do with that. We're fighting wars. This is the greatest about face in political history that I have really ever seen.
So it came out, there was an article. The reason why they're flipping is not because they saw the light. It's because their viewers are tanking. They're losing millions of viewers. And they realize, you know, this is a sign that people have had enough. They don't want to hear this bullshit anymore. And that's why they're like, nope, we got to abandon Trump. So it's not like they're like, oh, you know, they really believe. They never believed it in the first place. And now they don't believe it again. So it's bullshit. Yeah. Okay. So Max, we're running late, so we're gonna move through this kind of quickly. I don't know, Casey, if you want to jump in. Maybe we'll play. Why don't we show everyone?
I can do a quick summary, and also I can, like, some of these clips are in my video that I made on this too. So like, just you can go to my page. It should be on YouTube. The Max Miller, who is a representative in Ohio. You probably heard his name mentioned last week because we mentioned it in reference to Senator Bernie Moreno, who's his father-in-law. He was the one that was questioning Dr. Fauci aggressively last week. And so we talked about the fact that it's so weird that he had all of this energy to talk about Dr. Fauci, but hadn't said a word about Representative Max Miller, who had been accused of domestic violence, abuse against his granddaughter, and all of these things for a long time. And they were going through this really nasty divorce. And so it was all coming out publicly. And most of the Republicans were like, meh. And then we're starting to hear audio. We're starting to see reports that he threw scalding hot water on his wife, that he had withheld a stuffed blue bunny from his daughter. And you'll see that picture's floating around the internet too. And all of these things that are really just vile. There's accusations of drug use. You can hear the wife confronting him about finding needles by his bedside table. Just genuinely just terrible stuff. And when you see the video footage of him, I have never seen someone that looks more like a man that would abuse a wife. Like it is he never refutes. He says, well, if I had abused her, would she make dinner for me later that week? Yes, fuck. That's like literally how domestic violence works. Like there's a whole terminology for it. It's like fawning, it's self-preservation. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, he said he's gonna not drop out because Trump didn't. He literally cites Trump as the reason that he's still in the game, because Trump is resilient and he didn't drop out when everybody accused him of sexual assault and being friends to child pedophiles. So that's who this representative is. He's not gonna step down. Oh, also they knew about it because there's video footage of George Santos on the floor of Congress calling him a wife abuser, Max Miller, when they get into an exchange, and we can see that too. So
if you want to see some more in-depth reporting on this, Mother Jones has done a lot of work on it. A reporter by the name of Abby Vesoulis with a V, Vesoulis. She's done some nice reporting on this particular story, especially the refusal to return the blue bunny. She had the texts.
And headquarters, Kamala Harris's channel, they've been on his ass. Like they're posting like multiple times a day. So they've also got all the recordings there too. Like if you're just looking for a quick shout out of the audio and stuff.
So he still has time to drop out of his race, and the Republican Party can replace him. It's at some point next week that would be the deadline.
Yeah.
And they are heavily pressuring him to drop out. But Trump late last week called him a good guy, and then either yesterday or today said, I have nothing to do with it. Max is still a good guy, but I'm not going to. Yeah, it didn't look good.
Looking good, but that's it. And then also in the interview, Mike Johnson was like, we got to let this play out. Like, we can't get involved. We got to let he was very clear.
Family matter.
Yeah, it's a family matter. Because this guy's saying, oh, they're all supporting me. And they're not saying that. They're just saying, we're going to let them sort it out. Like, divorce is, like, it sounds really messy. And the reporter pushed Mike Johnson and was like, I mean, Trump said it doesn't look good. And Mike Johnson said, well, I mean, it doesn't. But, like, we're going to see how it plays out and then we'll deal with it, like, kind of thing. So
if we're going with that, then that would mean that January 6th was a family matter too. Is that what?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that where we're going?
So brave, these Republicans. Mm-hmm. So brave.
I mean, and so pro-children, right? Like that. It never fails.
It's disgusting
that the way they treat children and the way they treat women.
All right, so Michigan, everybody. So Abdul El Sayed won. It was like a 1 point win. I don't know if there's been any update, but the last I saw, there had been a one point difference. And so my point right after, besides congratulations or whatever, was that this was a nasty fight. I mean, I don't think anybody that was paying attention to this would think otherwise. And I think no matter who won, when you have a 1 point victory, a win is a win. I get it, but it's not a mandate. You gotta invite the other side in. You can't be assholes online. And I'm not saying he is. I'm saying a lot of the supporters were like going for blood. And so I was just saying, look, make nice with these people, or you don't even have to make nice, but talk about policy that you have in common. But just don't be an asshole. And the other thing to keep in mind is we had a pretty nasty race. I'm not from Texas, but there was a nasty race in Texas over Senate. We had time. That was months ago, and you got through November. We are less than 90 days away from the midterm election. They got to figure this out super quick in Michigan. What are your thoughts here? And that goes for anybody in the chat too.
To her credit, Haley Stevens immediately put out a statement saying,
"She did.
I want to be supportive of him and everything."
Yeah.
I feel,
and she did it like really quick. I thought it was great. I was so happy to see that.
Mallory McMorrow did as well. Like as
Yep.
soon
She
as
did
he
it the
was
night they were still
declared,
counting. Mallory McMorrow came
well,
out really quick.
they had already called it some places. So
AP
I don't
didn't
know.
call it.
Like
AP didn't call it.
no, it was somebody else that had called it. So I felt really validated in this because I felt like that's what I was seeing online, and that I also felt like there was there were just a lot of people that were looking for what they felt like was more of an assertive approach that would be able to, because this is a 6-year seat we're talking about, right? So this isn't just they're not going to be gone in 2 years. This is somebody that's going to be around for what we hope will be the rebuilding and restructuring of government that's going to take place if the Democrats get enough of a majority. So I think that what we saw was a lot of younger people that were looking for someone with like very overtly progressive. They had a lot of overlap, which is why I think that it was close. First of all, like I do feel like that they had some things that they both shared, but I personally believe that the good news is that even if you don't like him personally, he has 6 years to sort it out. And if he doesn't, the people of Michigan will not let him stay. There's
Casey,
not
he
a
has
chance
to
in
win
hell.
this election. He hasn't won.
No, I'm saying, I believe that he can. And I believe that he can. I'm saying for the people that are thinking about that they may not want to aggressively help him win, or I'm talking about to try to motivate people, I'm saying that this man has incentive to work for you and to work for the Democratic Party, because Michigan will not let him stay in the way that they would have probably kept Haley Stevens around. I'm going to be very honest about that. They're different candidates, but I think that she probably would have been easier to stay on as like an establishment candidate. Whereas he's going to have to prove these claims, right? Kind of the same way that Mom Donnie did. Like he's going to have to get in there and do the work that's necessary, or the voters are going to be like,
yeah, but
we're done.
Michigan ain't New York.
Yeah.
No, but we talked about this before. It's when people say Mom Donnie and they apply to other stuff, like it can apply there as well. It just has to be reframed.
I think his
to fit
way
that
of
narrative.
I think Mondami is a very talented politician, and so is El Said. Like I will definitely give him that. He is a very gifted speaker. He stays on message. He's good at that. But there is a rift there. He's got work to do. We have some stats here I can put up. So Haley Stevens definitely won Black voters, and one of the things I was hearing from Black voters was that she was a congresswoman, right? She had been in the community throughout time, showing up. He was new; they didn't know him. Now, once people started hearing from him, they were like, "Okay, he sounds good. He's okay." I would caution folks, this dude, to ditch Hassan Piker. This guy needs to be gone. Like, I don't know why this is a hard decision. Like that fist bump that photo went around. This guy's really problematic for Democrats, and he is not saying there will be no unification if you're with this dude. So I think he needs to get rid of that, because this guy has been saying anti-Semitic shit, and he has said anti-Black stuff. So I'm not down with him.
But Abdul's not a DSA person, so he should really be distancing himself from that.
He was campaigning vigorously for him. Piker was. So that's what I'm saying.
I know, because they like Abdul because he's going to do. In fact, a lot of his policies would have been better for the Black community than Haley's policies. So his policy-wise, it probably would be more beneficial, but that doesn't necessarily, you don't know if somebody's going to actually follow through with those policies, right? Like that's just what his platform was.
Well,
and so
you got to be able to not only stay on that message, but have that message break through to the general voters, right? I mean, your policies can be fantastic, but if you can't get that message through, it's not going to make a difference at all. And he's going against a very heavily funded, tough Republican candidate.
I don't think that's going to matter. Haley Stevens was 12-1 on him. 12-1, she outspent him. I think people are dramatically underestimating how upset people are right now. And I'm not saying that this would play in 2 years or in 4 years. I'm saying right now, at this moment. So talk to me again in 2 months and I'll tell you what I think. But right now, I believe that people are going to either stay home, as we'll see in a minute. There's some of the voter turnout that we saw, from some places like in Virginia was super low for Republicans. They just didn't show up. And that's atypical for them. And I want to stress how atypical that is for Republicans. Democrats are like a lot more fickle. Republicans, they'll show up and vote for a rock. They don't care, clearly. So it's really telling that they're not showing up when there's a statewide Republican Senate seat to do that. So I think what we're seeing and what we've been seeing with the special elections, and people keep saying, oh, they're one-offs, they're special elections. No, I think people are not motivated to show up and protect Republicans because those policies aren't protecting them. And they know that. And this is finally where we're turning a corner. The war was the corner. The war was the corner because now the gas prices have affected everything. Now people are starting to feel the pinch. They're going to start to feel the Medicaid cuts if they haven't already. Now this is where we start to turn the corner, and people just, whether they say it or not, they're not supporting a Republican right now. They're going to win. Democrats are going to win some Senate seats they didn't think that they would win. That I'm telling you right now, that's going to happen. Unless something changes.
Yeah, this poll came out before the election. This was head-to-head against Mike Rogers, and it's within the margin of error for sure, but he was behind. And I'm just saying he won. He did not cross 50%. So he has nearly 50% of the people did not vote for him. So, and you're not gonna persuade them if you're being assholes. And I'm not saying he's an asshole. I'm saying Piker is. And he's being asshole.
I think Piker will blend away at this point because I think that he's
He needs to
happy enough with his.
Do it quick.
I
He
think
needs
he's
to be
happy
gone,
with
I'm
his.
telling you now.
He's happy with his policies. He's gonna go focus on somebody else that he can fuck around with, right?
Listen, when I hear him speak, El Said speak, I agree with a lot of what he's saying policy wise. Like I don't have a problem. We were one of the first ones saying like, where are the Democrats? Why aren't they fighting? Like this has been the case. But like you don't have to be. I'm not gonna.
I'm saying he is a good example of this because as a man of color, like he's not a white man. He does not have a white man's name, like realistically, okay?
Right.
And for him to come in and win a seat in Michigan, that it doesn't matter if he won 50% or not. That's a big win right there. But they also have very similar platforms. So I didn't expect there to be this big differential between them anyway. Like that's not surprising to me. But I will say that in the general, I really think what you're going to find is it's not so much getting them to support him as it is getting them to sit it out, the Republicans, and getting enough Democrats to show up because they will straight take it down that ballot and we'll be okay.
It's going to be a very interesting election to be sure. This one in particular, this one in Maine. In Texas,
yes, 100%. And I say this because everything seems to be sort of like moving quickly and slowly at the same time. So like I will check back in with you in a couple of months and give you the flavor of things. But right now, people are just so exasperated and so like just over this the idea that they're paying so much for groceries and that everything costs so much, and they're seeing now you got to put diarrhea lettuce and infected blueberries and jalapeno. Like the jalapenos, I gotta be honest, were like the last fucking straw for me. I'm like, this is just like that's you took out my cilantro, my jalapenos, that's like my summer staple.
I'm a Jewish guy that loves bacon. You're taking away the bacon from me? No, God, please, what are you doing to me?
Like even when it's cooked, that's wild, right? Like it's just there's nothing that's safe. Like Susan was saying before, I have to drink bottled water as someone with cancer. This is just people are like, it's one thing to have certain inconveniences, but it's another thing to make everything unattainable in terms of money and also make us have to weave in and out of diarrhea lettuce. Like that's too much. That's too many things.
So, there's some meddling going on and just everybody keep an eye on it. Good night, Adam. Keep an eye on this rat fuckers. Republicans are going into races and boosting their preferred opponent. And that just happened with this dude. So just keep an eye on that. I'm gonna play this clip for you guys. And my takeaway from this, these are Michigan voters. Well, I'll tell you after. These are some Michigan voters basically talking about the issues and their concerns with Trump and all that kind of stuff. And just listen.
Put some brakes on this current administration. This dude is reckless.
Choose the strongest candidate. And even though the Democrats have a lot of momentum, you still have to choose a person because Mike Rogers is no joke.
Are you satisfied with the way Democrats have handled Donald Trump this second term?
No, not even close.
What do you want to see more of?
A backbone.
Agreed. He's running roughshod, and
nobody even trying to trip him.
Is this vote about Donald Trump or more about what benefits your life and your community?
It's more about what benefits my community.
A lot of Democrats are just expected to win because they're not Donald Trump. That's a lot of the messaging they have.
This sounds to me, these are Michigan voters. This sounds like us. These sound like voters all around the country with the same concerns. And they just want, fighters, basically.
And this is why I'm saying it's the risk that's worth the reward at this point. Democrats speaking out, Democrats being aggressive in their approaches to things, Democrats saying, like, we are going to tax the wealthy because at this point, like, that's what's going to benefit you. Like, having all of the more progressive rhetoric that would have seemed extreme before is going to seem like people that are out there fighting against Republicans right now. You're going to get through stuff that you otherwise wouldn't get through. I think you're going to get candidates through that, like Abdul. I don't know that he would have gotten elected in normal terms, but because of right now, I think you can use that. He is somebody that's looking like he's going to take action. I can't say that he will because obviously we're not there yet, but looks like he would. And that's what I think people are looking for right now over anything else, is somebody that looks like they would speak out against the Republicans. And if they look like more of an establishment candidate, then right now people have such distrust of them because we're watching most of them not push back. We're watching most of them get steamrolled, and people are tired of it. And it does not matter about the nuance involved. It does not matter about all of that because they've seen the Republicans consistently do this year after year after year.
Yeah.
And so they're like, enough. Our party gets to do it for once. Right? Enough. They find a way to be in the minority and fuck things up for us. Why can't you do the same?
Casey, you mentioned Republican turnout in Fairfax County.
Yeah, so this is, I haven't checked the numbers at the end. I meant to go back and do that, but I just saw this and I thought that this was a really interesting point, which I had talked to the poll workers at my precinct, and they had echoed this, which was that, number one, for the first time ever, the mail-in ballots had outmatched the in-person ballots, right? The absentee ballots, the mail-in ballots, largely because our primary had gotten moved from June to now in August, and that meant people were out of town for vacations and all kinds of stuff for summer that they normally wouldn't have been there for. So that was some of it, but that also that it's they don't know who's voting what, obviously. But I will tell you this, do you know who wasn't there? The Republicans. They did not have a table there. I have never seen that in the history of me living here, because even though it's more of a bluer area and my precinct is very blue, they've never not been there. They've never not shown up. That was crazy to me to see an empty space where you would normally see the Republican tent, because there's always a Republican and there's always a Democrat that shows up. They couldn't even find somebody to show up. So I cannot impress upon you how wild that was to see. I just think that they're not, I'm sure somebody will be there for the actual election, the general, but I thought these are really bad numbers for them to be that much lower than Democrats, but for Republicans even, that's crazy.
All right. So
it makes sense. It makes sense. I just want to clear, this makes sense. It's weird to see.
So as of today, we have 89 days to, November sounds kind of far, but when you say 89 days, that doesn't sound very far to be trying to flip the Senate, especially when we've had some issues. We had Maine, which was what the fuck? Before that, Texas was kind of freaky. And now we have Michigan, which hopefully they pull it together. I think people just need to get over their feelings and try and, unify and all that stuff. We have to give them time. They just don't have much time. So what we're doing with the reformers through election day is we are going to be highlighting candidates. Tonight we're highlighting 2 Senate candidates, but it won't always be the Senate. It may be governors. It could be congressional candidates. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in preferably flippable districts. That's our main goal here, and to kind of highlight them and show you a little bit about what's important to them and what their platform is. So tonight we're doing Josh Turek and Talarico, James Talarico. So we're going to highlight both of those. Josh Turek, the one point I want to say is just remind everybody we have to flip 4 seats. Michigan is not a flip. We need to keep that seat. We cannot lose Michigan. If we lose Michigan, that is devastating. Like that. And right now it's classified as a toss-up, which is not a good space to be. So we need to keep that seat, help Michigan, protect Michigan, but that's not a flip. That is not, if we win Michigan, that does not really move us closer to flipping the Senate. Josh Turek does. And if y'all know, we've talked about him on this live stream before, but we need to flip 4 seats. One of his big things is the farm bill. And this is a quote from him. "When I am in the Senate, Congress will not recess until we have an active farm bill." He's really on the side of farmers. And you can see he was a Paralympian. This guy has had he's had a ton of major surgeries, but he is not screwing around. So when I was researching him, one of the things that hit, and I think when, I'm from LA, when you're from a big city, a lot of times there's issues in other states that you never thought of or they don't resonate with you. Like we hear about farmers, but I had never really heard about, let me put up this next slide, the right to repair. So I came across that and I was like, what does that mean? And and that's a huge signature platform for him. So basically what's happening is, I don't know if I should mention I'll mention brand names. So for example, if you bought a John Deere tractor, maybe you spent $500,000, $500,000. That's the number that I had found. $500,000 for a tractor, and it breaks down and you try to repair it. You can't really finish the job without their approval, without their computers, without, so he's making it he's trying to make it so you have the right to repair your computer. They have to provide manuals. They have to provide computer assistant. You should be able to repair a computer that or a farm equipment that you purchased. So that was his signature issue. And then here's a speech of his.
The Senate, Congress will not recess until we have an active farm bill. No one gets to go home until our farmers are taken care of. I also want to make sure that we do something to address the monopolies that are jacking up our input prices and making sure we've got monopoly enforcement. Make sure we have country of origin labeling on our beef. We've lost 100,000 beef producers in this country. I also want to make sure of something that I fought for in the Iowa legislature, right to repair. I will fight for that in the Iowa Senate, because our farmers deserve to have working equipment. And I will fight to have a farm bill and not allow Congress to actually adjourn until we have passed that farm bill.
So to be clear, manufacturers are arguing that software is our intellectual property and restricting access protects the safety of the farmer, which is bullshit. They weren't doing this before. His platform, I'm going to put up here too. Where are you? There we go. No, that's not it. Thought I had it a second. I'm so sorry. I can definitely read it. It's just not coming up here. Here we go. Oh, I know why. Because I have too many things in here. Sorry. Let me take out something. Here we go. Takes a minute. Oh, it doesn't. Well, you can see he's a Paralympian.
Last week we saw the commercial that Michelle showed us where he's playing basketball with Obama, and it's such a feel good. It's such a feel good advert. Like everybody should go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's really great.
We showed it
I
last
wasn't
week.
really super aware of him before, but yeah, it's on our last week's show, or you can just Google the thing. But I had been hearing discussions about how was in play. And I immediately believed that, because Iowa is one of those funny states where that could be the case if they had the right candidate. And I really think he's the right candidate. And I'm thrilled by him. I'm so glad that he's got this positive reception. And I think you're only going to see him do better as time goes by.
And we mentioned last week too, Obama was the last Democratic president to win Iowa. And I think the thing that's special about Josh, he's speaking to the issues of Iowans. He's, and he's actually, a lot of the other issues besides right to repair, I think a lot of us can relate to. Like, he's on his platform, it's up here, I know it's small. Lower costs, higher wages, less corruption. So corruption's a big deal for him. He's also, wants to put workers ahead of billionaires. He wants to protect Social Security, protect Medicare, protect the ACA, defend reproductive freedom. So he's on the side of abortion rights, also protecting IVF. He wants to codify Roe. He's standing up for farmers, which we've already talked about. No corporate monopolies, affordable health care, which, you talk about rural, their hospitals are in jeopardy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have that issue. And fight for public schools. He's fighting for public schools. He's against vouchers, which that's definitely a Republican issue. And then ending price gouging. And that's a little hypothetical for me because everybody talks about price gouging, but they don't really take it on in a real way. So I'll be interested to see what he actually does, because that's usually a talking point and it never really has teeth. So keep an eye on him, support him when you see his posts. He actually has a pretty good TikTok account, pretty good Facebook account. You can go scroll through and get some information from him. Then whenever we're talking about these candidates, what's that?
I just wanted to say, for the record, the Republican opponent is awful.
We're about to talk about her.
Yeah, she's awful. Like, she has completely voted with Trump. She's the reason why we are where we are.
99% of the time. 99%. That's crazy.
Okay, hold on. We are having
Ashley
another
Hinson.
freaking technical difficulty here, and I got to figure out.
Are you moving on to her, or you want me to talk more about him?
I'm going to move into her, but I was having trouble getting him.
As we get her, so we talked about her earlier in the live, right? And she has, if you could manifest, if you could make and create a stereotypical Republican, this lady would be it, because she is trying to market herself as a working mom, just like you, like a mom, like a middle class. This lady is a multimillionaire. She has increased her wealth by 10 times her personal wealth. So she's now a multimillionaire. She has a $50,000 luxury apartment in DC, which, yes, we have those here. And this lady is continuing to take money from all of these lobbies, these corporate lobbies, like the pork industry. And in exchange, it's like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. She's willing to loosen regulations for them. And because she has voted with the Republican Party, with Trump's agenda, 99% of the time, she's a super loyal Republican. And to me, there's no greater example of not only the hypocrisy, but the duplicity, which to me feels like is like villainy personified, because these people say they're trying to help you, the farmers or whatever, but it's really everything done to benefit their own financial gain. Everything is about making her wealthy, about making her feel better. But it's portrayed to you and sold to you. Like, if you go to her website, she's lying. Like, all the claims that she's making about what she wants to do, like, oh, I'm gonna cut taxes. No, like, you voted against extending the affordable healthcare tax credits. Like, you voted for the Medicaid cuts. Like, you voted for the one big beautiful bill. You did all these things that actually are costing your constituents more money, that are costing the Iowa people more money, that are making it harder for farmers to make profits in a sustainable way. But she's packaging it as if she's just like one of you, like sitting down to have a beer with you at a bar, and that she's working for you. No, she's working for the corporate lobbies, like most Republicans are.
And also, I would like to just, fun game. I'll give you one guess. When she's talking, I watched one of her rallies speeches. She kind of went after Turek, and I'll just give you one guess: the culture war in which she chose to bash him. So it's just ridiculous. It is like she is just so stereotypical that it hurts. It hurts to watch. It's really
and
awful.
she took $90,000 plus from donors mentioned in the Epstein files. So, like, also there's that. Just so you know.
Wow.
Not surprising, but yeah. And obviously, like, beloved by Trump, and clearly, like, let me tell you something. I can't find pictures with Trump and JD Vance with all Republicans. You'd be surprised, like, but especially representatives, like, they don't just take pictures with anybody, like, and people, and not everybody's willing to post their pictures, right? Like, so even the ones that do, some people want more distance from this administration. They're not necessarily advertising it. Hers come up right away. Like, she's just, hers are right there
I
for you to
kind of feel
find.
like if a Karen were a candidate, it would be her.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
100%.
Absolutely. Just could not be more quintessential, stereotypical, and it's infuriating. It makes me really frustrated because it's one thing to be, to be benefiting or whatever. A lot of people, they become a member of Congress and they get wealthy on it. But it's another thing to act like all the damaging thing you're doing is for your constituents and is helping them when it's really hurting them. That is some kind of vile behavior.
She used taxpayer money also, like, to what was it? What did you? I think you said, I don't know if you said that or not, but I heard you say something about 50,000 or 50 billion. She's used 50,000 in taxpayer dollars to pay for her condo or her home or whatever
I didn't
it was.
say that, but yeah,
and then $100,000 of taxpayer money to vacation. Like, what?
They're all doing, I'm telling you, they're all doing this. It's crazy. But yeah, there's a lot with money on her, and I hope that he really zeroes in on that, especially given now with the economy and how it is, that these people are just enjoying this nice lush lifestyle all at the expense of taxpayers while we all struggle.
Yeah. Well, our other candidate, Texas, James Talarico, that is his platform up there. And pretty much all the things we care about. So end corruption and dark money, protect voting rights, strengthen public schools. And he is a former teacher. I can pop that up there too. So he has a strong policy on teaching. So you definitely look into that if that's important to you. And Texas is one of those states that would love to do vouchers. Most red states actually would. And then voting rights, which I think is a really important issue. Let me move this around. He wants to expand access to the ballot. And Texas is one of the states. This is why people always predict, like, oh, Texas is going to go blue, and then it doesn't. It's not easy to vote in Texas. Like, there is a voter apathy problem, but a lot of people voted in the primary, okay? But they still had, like, you saw people on video posting their stories on social media, like, I had to go home and get this and that. They were already acting like the SAVE Act had already passed in Texas. So it is not easy to do that. So anyway,
I've seen quite a few videos recently in the last couple of weeks of women living in Texas who have been told they can't vote and they have to re-register and they have to do all of these things. And guess what? And we're talking Republicans too, not just Democrats, where women are being told no because they're messing with the voter ID stuff. So we're there, you guys. We're there.
Florida is having the same
just
problem.
A reminder that California, and here in California, we actually, we had a Prop 50 because of Texas. So that's where we are. Texas needs a little love right now.
So he basically wants to protect voting rights, and that every candidate, honestly, every Democrat should be doing what they can to protect voting rights, and including governors. Like, look at your redistricting situation, because we did not start this fight. That was started by Republicans.
Yeah. Shout out to the Voting Rights
Maryland?
Act. Today is the 61st anniversary.
Yeah.
So on healthcare, he's, for affordable healthcare, lowering prescription drug prices, letting everyone buy into Medicare. That is his language. I don't know if that means Medicare for all. This kind of sounds like it to me. But he's for so he says buy into Medicare through a public option. So anyway, a public option is what we need, right? At the end of the day, I think most people agree with that. And what else did I want to show y'all? We talked about ending corruption, I think. So when I was researching him, somebody had mentioned to me, what is his, or to us rather, what is his stance on legalizing weed? So I posted this earlier this week, but when I was researching, I came across a video that had went viral again the day before. I don't think it went viral the first time. It's from 2025. And there was, so basically Texas had banned THC, and this was his remarks on the floor after that ban was voted in.
Is insane. This legislature legalized hemp 6 years ago, but instead of regulating this booming industry in our state, we are now going backwards to the days of prohibition. This bill is not going to stop Texans from smoking weed or eating edibles just because a bunch of politicians in Austin tell them not to. Texans will still use THC, but instead of getting it safely from a local small business, they'll now get it from the black market, from the drug cartels. This ban is a gift to the cartels. We are now telling full-grown adults how to live their lives. This is the nanny state at its worst. This is big government at its worst. I thought the Republican Party believed in limited government and personal responsibility. I thought the Republican Party believed in liberty and freedom. What gives us the right to tell an adult what to do on their own time? We are now about to throw Texans in jail for seeking relief that's safer than alcohol and less addictive than tobacco. Instead of fully funding schools, expanding access to health care, lowering costs of childcare, this legislature is focused on banning a product that gives people a little peace. Texans use THC to lessen anxiety. Seniors use it to manage chronic pain. Our veterans use it to treat PTSD. With this ban, we are now making people's lives harder, not easier. I want to leave you with a quote. It is time to end needless arrests and incarcerations of adults for small amounts of marijuana for personal use. That wasn't a Democrat. That was President Donald Trump. To my Republican colleagues, I'm asking you to oppose the cartels, stand with President Trump, and vote no on this insane bill.
I think that was excellent. I think he made all the points there. Yeah. And so he's not talking about a free for all. He's not just saying legalize weed. He's talking about legalizing it, regulating it, and taxing it. And this is not an experiment. There's so many states where they have some form of legal
states
marijuana.
And countries. Like this has been ongoing for.
But like California, Michelle and I live in California. I don't know specifics on your states, but it has been legal here for quite some time. There are dispensaries all over the place. I'm not hearing about problems. Like that's what I'm saying. No. Like if you look at that, it's not an experiment. If you look at states that have legalized it here,
and it is no different than gambling, except for it's less harmful. And so, like, my point to that is that there were people that initially had opposed gambling because, like for whatever, but then they realized, oh, we could make a crap ton of money if we regulate it. And so they didn't care about anybody or anything if they could regulate it. And so now here we have another industry where that's there for the taking. And it's funny that there's all this pushback as if it's not way less harmful. Like, it's been proven that it's way less harmful medically, scientifically, whatever. And so I've said this for a long time. I was like, when people finally realize that there is a large push for this, especially as the boomers come into maturity and retirement age and start to have ailments and struggles that will benefit from marijuana usage, they will start to switch. And that's why we've seen a lot of states flip.
Yeah.
I think I talked about this before. Like, my husband didn't believe me, and I said this like 10 years ago. And I was like, it will be legal in all states in our lifetime, like soon. Like, I don't mean like 20 years. I mean like soon. Like, it's money. It's capitalism.
Yeah.
We had
You
have
can
a couple
capitalism
little
saves us again.
I don't know about that, but sure.
We have a couple little dispensaries in our town.
What'd you
We
say,
have a couple
Michelle? You have
dispensaries in our town. We have 2 dispensaries in our town.
Okay, well, we have a lot here. Like,
well, I just want to say, I live in a town that's only got like 7,000 people.
Okay.
So, it's a small town. But the only problem we ever had was when Tommy Chong came to town.
Oh,
to
no. Did he buy up everything?
to market, to promote his his product. It was insane. There was so many people, because we had people from all over the place, from all the surrounding towns coming in to meet and greet. And he had a huge huge bus that was like painted gold, and it had a giant doobie on the side, and there was like smoke, and it was a whole thing. It was hilarious. But that was really the only time that we had a problem with one of the dispensaries, because it was, there was a traffic problem.
Nancy says, I get mine from California. So, I mean, honestly, you could have weed delivered in LA. Like, that's
crazy.
There's dispensaries. There's Snoop Dogg has a dispensary. It's big business here, but it's highly regulated. When you go to one, they put your driver's license on, your ID on file. It's not like you can we're not talking about buying it on the corners.
And,
it's also
and not just that, but it's regulated. Exactly. So like, folks who are selling to the dispensaries, there's rules, there's laws they got to follow.
Absolutely.
So that folks aren't getting sick. Yeah.
They stick with it too. They are not, these dispensaries and sellers are not going rogue. They're sticking to the rules, and they're very knowledgeable about what they're doing. You can go to a dispensary and talk about, like, I have, achy joints or something, or I need better sleep or whatever. So it started here in California as medicinal. You had to have I don't know, was it a prescription or something? You had to have, in order
like
to
a doctor's
taken that, but then we voted in as legalized substance. And like, people don't really die from smoking weed. They can die from other types of drugs, but I haven't heard.
Nobody's overdosing on like pot. Okay, nobody's overdosing on pot. Like,
I mean,
unless you are.
Felt like I did.
Define overdose.
Well, I mean, look,
I was high for a week once. Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but like, I did watch the show Weeds, so I will say, if you're in the city of Agrestic, like, your house might burn down, but everybody else, like, you're good, you're fine.
I want to tell a story. This is back some years ago. My mother, she's in her late 70s. She's almost 80. She's in her late 70s. She had a reunion with her girlfriends in San Francisco in the Bay Area. They all were taking gummies, and I don't really think they do. Now, they know about smoking joints, but the gummy thing wasn't, it was kind of new to them. And they tasted so good. One of them ended up in the hospital. She overdosed on the gummy. They're like, she didn't know what was happening to her. And they were like, girl, you're taking too many gummies. And she's like, they taste so good.
You just got to sit this out. Yeah.
Over. My mother's foot got ran over. They went to get gas. It was just like a comedy. But anyway, and these are some old ladies drinking, like having gummies, and but listen, sometimes you need this shit, you know? And it's, so
Nowadays,
I
good
do want
Lord.
to get serious for a second. One of the things that I really appreciate on this platform here with legalized, regularized tax is expunge past marijuana possessions records so nonviolent offenders aren't burdened by old convictions. This is so important because there are people with these convictions that cannot really get meaningful work because of, you know, marijuana possession. That is ridiculous. And so I appreciate that he's wanting to take that on. So yeah, Talarico, learn more about him. And maybe Casey, and you know, maybe we should post these graphics in a thread or something. I posted the video and this graphic that's on the screen now because I was just focusing on one issue. Maybe my next thing will be, you know, posting the, you know, the graphics. That way anybody can just grab them all because we have several graphics on these.
And yeah, I plan to hopefully eventually, again threw my back out this week, so I was like really out of commission and in a way that I was humbled and not prepared for. So I normally would like to have videos done as well before we go into the live. So, and I always put those in threads, so that you could also find I put all the graphics in there that I would use in the actual thread. So next week, look for that. I'll be on top of my game, hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. Some people recommended some nice like patches to put on my back, which I'd never heard of either. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like
you could do CBD, not salve, a CBD balm. CBD balm that is supposed to be really better than CBD oil, is my understanding. I haven't used it because I haven't had problems lately. But
the Epsom salt baths are great. I just I have to get out and do life. Like I can't be doing that all day.
So okay, so we can't end this segment without talking about James Talarico's opposition, which is Ken Paxton. I thought this was extremely funny when Paxton was the official nominee. Talarico posted his mugshot. So I just thought he didn't miss a beat there. So I thought that was really, really great.
This is where I wish I had more time.
The most
I wish that I had like exclusive time to just spend roasting this man because he deserves it. So by the way, if there are any of you here watching that feel like you maybe want to become a content creator, maybe Ken Paxton is the one that gets you there. Like there's so much to talk about.
So we just talked about voting rights with Talarico, and we have the polar opposite with Ken Paxton. He wants to suppress the vote. He has vowed to crack down on illegal voting, which is not a thing. That's not a problem that we're having.
Wait, isn't he the one who actually illegally voted?
Yes.
Yeah, he illegally voted. Yeah.
Wasn't it like 5 times?
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, this is he was impeached. This guy. I'm okay. Let's watch this video. What is it?
Mr. Paxton, what do you think about Adam Hoffman? Why'd you get a plea deal for a child sex predator? Do you have anything to say about that? Should he be registered as a pedophile in the state of Texas? A sex offender?
Step back.
What do you have to say to Adam Hoffman, the victim of Adam Hoffman? Mr. Paxton, what do you have to say?
You guys know the story on this?
Yeah.
Anybody want to say? Anyway, he's protecting a pedophile and not speaking on it. Apparently, he was impeached. So these are the articles of impeachment. And,
wait, let me tell. Can I just tell a story? Because this is like it needs to be told. Like I need you all to understand. Set the scene. So years ago, Ken Paxton, when he was Attorney General of the state of Texas, his wife was in the state legislature. Okay, I want to clarify. Like she's working, like as a senator, I think at the time, and I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure she was a senator.
No, she was.
Legislator. Yeah. Okay. So he gets embroiled. So he's already known to be a cheater, right? Like this is like he's a serial cheater. Like he's got like 80 million mistresses at all times. Well,
why is that? Like, look at this man. But anyway.
God, I don't understand. It's not. And how can you possibly have that much money if you're constantly having to pay out all these, like, I'm sure he's getting blackmailed left and right, like, for all this. Like, anyway. So back in, I think it was 2023, I'm like pulling up the screenshot now to make sure that I have the right date on this, because I mean, all of this has kind of gone together. Yeah. So he gets impeached because that's where he was on charge. He was on trial for bribery, abuse of office, and obstruction. Okay. And as that's happening, the story that is exposed that he was basically Ubering his mistress around and using campaign funds to pay for that. And so that's, by the way, a no-no. If you're ever going to get in trouble for something, it's going to be money. Like, if you do things wrong with money, they'll eventually find it out. So he then let Nate Paul, who's like a real estate, I don't know, hustler guy. He was writing all the subpoenas to investigate all the business rivals of Paxton, which is also not allowed. So like all of this is happening. Okay. And so they decide they're going to impeach him, but are they going to convict him? Well, that goes to the Senate to decide, right? And so he's going through the trial. His wife has to sit through all of this. So they're airing out all of this stuff. And she has to sit there and basically just watch, which is, that to me is like crazy work. They weren't divorced yet. They are now, but they weren't then. Anyway, he got a... I think they are. Oh, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just separated.
I think they're still in the middle of a very nasty divorce.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not technically divorced yet.
Okay. So he eventually gets acquitted. It's a pretty close vote though. Like, I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I can find out. 14-16. So it's pretty close. Like, it wasn't like, I mean, a lot of people thought he was guilty, but watching that in real time was wild, because the amount of stuff that this man is clearly guilty of is like unreal. The corruption and is something I've never seen somebody continue to have outside of the president. I have never seen somebody publicly been accused and with evidence. By the way, people had evidence of these crimes. It wasn't like, oh, somebody said. There was actual trails of evidence that this man had, and he still managed to get acquitted because there were enough Republicans, because obviously Texas has gerrymandered the fuck out of Republicans have gerrymandered the fuck out of Texas. So the Republicans have disproportionate number of state legislature seats in the state legislature. And so enough Republicans were on his side, I guess, at the mercy of his wife. Like, she abstained, by the way. She didn't get to vote, if you're wondering, in that acquittal. So he somehow, like, is the roach at the nuclear reactor that somehow manages to crawl out and keep living his political career. And I'm really looking forward to, but he keeps losing. So I'm really looking forward to James Talarico absolutely obliterating this man, because he's not popular in the state of Texas. People don't like him. He has obviously misused funds.
I could be wrong, but wasn't he indicted for something too? And
I don't remember that.
Somehow he got
that. I need to bring the mugshot back.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, but didn't he get some Republican friend let him off the hook?
Yes. Yes. No, he was.
He should be in jail right now.
He got what do you call it? The governor or his friend. Yeah. Abbott
pardoned.
Issued him a pardon.
Yeah.
But the other thing he did, which a lot of people forget, was after Roe v. Wade was overturned in Texas. There was a woman, hold on, what's her name? I totally blanked on her name, because I want you guys to be able to look her up. It was this super public thing. It was at the very end of 2023. Oh my God, how is this possible? Kate Cox. So Kate Cox was pregnant and needed not to be because of a medical issue. And she was like one of the very first people, because she's like a white lady in Texas.
Yeah.
And so all the doctors had kind of agreed. And so at some point, like, not only like,
she had a viral video. If you search her name, you'll find her.
You can find it. But the fact that this woman, Kate Cox, had gone public, and there was sentiment like around her, sympathy for her. Well, Ken Paxton like went after her and was like, if you go get treatment for this, like even if you leave the state, we will prosecute you. Like if he threatened to prosecute her if she went out of the state of Texas to get the procedure done. And it was all in public headlines. You can Google it. Because the headlines are like how Texas tried to torture a woman for being pregnant. And anyway, it was like, the judges were on her side, like the judicial, like the lower court judges were, but because he was the attorney general, the acting attorney general at the time, that's how he was intervening. So that saga was, I did a couple of videos at the time, but you can find clear evidence on the internet of this. And it's just wild to me that we're here in 2026 after all of this happened in 2023. And there's been other things since then. It's crazy.
Gross.
All right, so now we have the call to action, and we do this every week. So something that's been going on, Michelle, you probably heard about it because our attorney general is one of the ones leading the lawsuit against this. Trump is actively trying to get voter rolls and get states to purge voter rolls. And this is happening. Democracy Docket warned of this. This was like, I think just yesterday. Democrats warn Trump administration against promoting last-minute voter purges as quiet period begins. And so our call to action is to make sure you are constantly check well before. So two things: find out where your voter registration deadline is, and make sure you've checked that you're registered before that deadline. Okay, because once you pass that deadline, if you've been purged, you're out of luck. Remind your friends and family, go on your socials. And above all, I would say, well, not above all, but I think it's really important. If you find out that there are shenanigans in your state, that they have done a purge, blast it on social media. Hopefully we see it and can blast it too. We need to help each other. We need to alert each other when this is happening, because they are trying. And that it's happening at this, this very moment. Blue states, they would love to do it to us more, to be honest, than the red states. They want to purge our voter rolls. Obviously, the blue states are going to be fiercely protective over that, and there is a lawsuit right now. So hopefully that's successful. But make sure you're registered to vote. But first, find out the deadline so that you're registered in advance. California, we're lucky we have same-day voting, or same-day registration.
Red states in particular be very mindful.
Rare. I don't know of a red state that has same-day.
No, they're all like 30 days out for the most part. Yeah. So that's why I say like be mindful.
Like Texas, for one, absentee voting is really difficult. It's to qualify for that. So, not every place is like California. We're very lucky.
We'll have an election special on this topic, a little bit closer, but far enough out that y'all can fix it. Right. And we'll include numbers and resources that you need to call if you have an issue in your state or area where you run into this problem and you're not sure what to do as we get closer. But like right now you can Google that and you have time. But like when we get closer, we'll give some.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember what happened in Georgia not that long ago, right? Where they waited until, what was it? I think folks were saying it was like a week or two before the election.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where folks started going to vote and realized, wait, what? What do you mean I'm not on the register? Yeah, I'm not registered. So
and also the other call to action is
check your registration.
Amplify those candidates that we spoke about. If you see anything that they've done, if you could just like share either our graphics or if you could share out their posts, or just be mindful that those are races that need your help and support and that they could absolutely win.
We should repeat just really quickly every week. We have graphics for this. It's kind of late now, but what the flippable seats, like the main targets of flippable seats in it are, and then what we have to protect. For example, like I mentioned, Michigan, that, there's people are acting like that's a flippable seat. It is a seat that we have to protect. We cannot lose Michigan. So we gotta get it together there very quickly. Okay, one more thing. So this
rental property in Arizona is now home for Emily Arner and her family of 5. The family was forced to give up their dream house just over 1 mile away after going into foreclosure.
We had no plans to ever leave. That was going to be our home.
Arner, who's a flight attendant, documenting their journey online.
We're just in pure fight or flight mode.
When her husband unexpectedly lost his job last year, they soon fell behind on mortgage payments.
We had no way to cover it, no way to pay for it. And we tried everything that we could possibly think of.
Nationwide, foreclosure filings spiked 21% in the first 6 months of this year compared to the same time last year. They're up 28% from 2 years ago.
If there are economic stresses on a household, people have to make decisions. What bill am I going to pay now? What bill am I going to put off?
Foreclosures are still well below their peak during the housing crisis more than 15 years ago. But factors like the end of pandemic-era protections, higher mortgage rates, and rising costs for insurance and property taxes are now behind the foreclosure trend, moving in the wrong direction.
Should that make people worried that we could see another foreclosure crisis down the line?
I mean, I think we have some protections in place that didn't exist 20 years ago, especially at the state level.
9 months since leaving her family's house for the last time, Arner hopes her story can be a cautionary tale.
If you don't have, savings or a way to cover yourself, it absolutely can happen to you. It can happen to anybody.
Experts we spoke with say that if you are having trouble making your mortgage payments, you should seek help from a government agency or nonprofit before it's too late. Many states have extended their timelines to resolve foreclosures through mediation in court. Your state's attorney general's office may be able to point you toward a reputable housing counselor.
So foreclosures are up. We should keep an eye on that. That is not a good sign for the economy, but quite frankly, there's a lot of bad signs for the
I was gonna say.
now. Yeah. All right. Well, now is the time for the best of the week. Do y'all have anything that you want to do?
Oh, I forgot to send you my thing.
You want to send it to me real quick?
Can I send it to you real quick? Okay.
Yeah, you can send it. Text it though. So I will.
That it was the 61st anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, and we need to keep protecting our right to vote, y'all. And then what I wasn't prepared for was somebody sent me the text of Trump's, I don't know, I think it was AI, so I don't want to push that, but whoever created that video of Trump with big hair,
oh yeah,
God bless you.
That's pretty good.
That was hilarious. Yeah, I wish we could share it, but
I feel like mine is very very on point for the best of the worst, because this is like a video that was going viral on TikTok for she was crashing out in her car, and I've just never heard anything that was more relatable.
Should we?
Yeah, you can play it.
Oh shit! What the hell happened to her? Oh, there it is. There she is. Okay, 1 sec. It's just getting here. Okay.
My dog died, but Donald Trump is still alive. Oh, wait. How come y'all take my real nigga, but not Donald Trump? Wait. Because your dog didn't die normally. No, that's not fair though. Oh yeah. Rocky died. He's a real ass nigga. Right. Donald Trump. He's still here.
I don't understand. What just happened? What just happened?
So if I think you missed the beginning, but the beginning said she's like, my dog died, but Donald Trump is still alive. And I've seen this is the 5th video I've seen of people specifically being like you've taken my my grandma or the dog or somebody that's famous or whatever, and meanwhile this guy's still here, and people are just absolutely losing their minds because that's how frustrated and upset everybody. That's how unlikable this administration is, that people are regularly rooting for his demise, and we've all unified behind that. Yeah,
we've talked about this. We were raised not to say, "Oh, I wish so and so was dead" or whatever, and now it's just so.
Yeah,
it's part of our conversations, with friends or whatever. Die already.
People have how you have emergency contacts to pick your child up from camp. People have emergency contacts for letting them know when he dies. That's now.
People are if it happens, you don't even have to say get into it. You don't even have to say it really.
No.
If it happens, call me. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'm going on vacation.
I'm getting out of bed. I'm getting online. and I'm starting a live, and I'm starting to look at social media, and I'm popping some champagne while I'm doing all this. Like, absolutely, there will be.
I have a
celebrating in the
friend
street.
who ends every conversation with "Text me if it happens."
Exactly.
Anyway, just know that there is, I feel like, some hope in the fact that there's so many of us that feel this way. And even though it's like it's a bad feeling, it's also there is some commiseration in knowing that we're all together in this.
Yeah.
Badness.
All right.
I agree.
So my best of the week, I came across this article by The Guardian. And so this gerrymandering that Republicans have been doing in the South. They've been trying to like disenfranchise Black voters, take away Black voter power. They're actually shifting Black voters into what you would call white districts. Those districts are going further left because now there are Black voters in those districts. Gerrymandering affects House races. I'm not saying we're good there. We are not. But who's going to benefit from this? Democratic Senate, Democrat governors, other local races in those counties. They are now further left. So this article details one in particular. That is way too small to read. I'm just going to tell you. So Alabama saw the biggest shift. So this was like early voting. Saw the biggest shift in this trend. So Doug Jones is running for governor. Let's see what happens there. But Black voters are turning counties that were more conservative, more left. And so we had the trend, Republicans like slamming red states and taking away they were gerrymandering. Now it's poised to backfire. So keep an eye on these southern states, red states. I just thought that I laughed out loud when I read this article.
And I think you're right. And I think that part of what we've seen in the past is that people stay home because they feel like they're in a red state that's been, especially if it's been aggressively gerrymandered, like that their vote won't count. Well, they forget about the Senate. Like they forget that the Senate's statewide, and now they're
right.
As we start to see stuff like this where there's higher voter turnout because people are so disgusted with this administration, what it's also teaching people is that in these statewide elections, they have a lot of power and voice. And so they could, in fact, really wreck Republican Party's plans by just showing up to vote for that particular race.
And you see the potential for the gerrymandering to backfire in Texas as well, because they gerrymandered that thinking, oh, let's move all the Latino voters in these other districts because they voted for Trump. Meanwhile, he's been, arresting folks, killing folks, and they're like, fuck this shit. So they're not going to be reliable Trump voters, but we'll see what happens. There are going to be so many interesting races to watch for the midterms, and I think a lot of it will come back to the effects of gerrymandering from Republicans. Like, what did that actually do to voting power and results on election night? Some of this that I'm saying here about the southern states may not get as much attention at first because we're not talking about necessarily the big races. Like if it flips Senate, yes, but this is going to affect in-state races, legislative races, and the long term of that is that's how they were able to gerrymander in the first place, because they had these super majorities, these Republican super majorities that were able to do whatever they wanted, and you were not able to stop them. So it takes a while. It's going to take a while, but they may regret that day, So that was my week's best. All right, y'all. It's almost 3 hours. I cannot believe it. We did it again. Okay. All right. Just so everybody knows, our lives, we plan on them being an hour and a half. So I don't know. Just too much freaking shit happens during the week.
And so much. And y'all, we even backburnered stuff. Like there
was stuff
everything.
We didn't do. Yeah. So,
I want to give a quick shout out when I was talking about the text that I received. I didn't realize it was actually a friend of ours, Dr. D, on social media, and his tweet or his post. Trump. I have to. It's a dad joke, but it's amazing. Trump to rebrand Republicans as the Whig Party. It's a small price to pay. I mean, to pay. So I just Thank you, friends. I love all you guys. Thank you. I appreciate all of you.
She's talking about Doc. He's a reformer also, so he's part of our
So
show.
I just
One day we'll try
I
and
love
get
our
him
friends.
on the lives. We'll try and do it.
I love our friends.
We'll
All right,
have to
everyone.
we should do a Sunday live at this, like around the same time as our call one time, like, and do it that way.
Yeah,
and
we can do
lure people on.
And we're also talking about doing a Labor Day live.
Yes.
We
Yes,
did
yes,
a
yes,
New
yes.
Year's Day live, and that did really well. We had a lot of views, and I think people are like chilling for the holidays, and they maybe want to check this out.
I think
So anyway,
that
thanks everyone.
we maybe should do the candidate thing. We'll chat about it, but I think that that's probably a good time to maybe discuss.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So keep
Hope
tuning
everyone has
in
a good
for our
weekend.
two candidates of the week. And we're going to mix it up. So you'll see candidates you may not have been on your radar, and
That's right.
support these candidates. And again, we're going to remind you every week of the races that should be flippable, that we should be working on flipping, that, should have a spotlight. So thanks everyone. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.
Bye. Call your local